Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're calling in from. This is Christina Wise, and welcome to today's Money Talk. I am really excited to be here today because this is my last Money Talk of the season. So I'm going to give you all everything I've got today, and then I'm going to be taking a little break from teaching to work on my book. I'm going to be spending the next 3 months on my next book, and therefore this is the completion of this year's Money Talks. So congratulations. Thank you for being here. As everybody's getting signed on, I'd love you to test the chat box and let me know where you're from. Some of you are overachievers. Teresa's already typed in that she's from Bowie, Maryland, and Kylie is from Sherman, Texas. So go ahead, everybody, type in where you're from. Aurora's from New Jersey. Welcome. Jody's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Vicky's from Tucson. I'm going to be going to Tucson to Miraval here in January. Vicki, I can't wait. Debbie's from St. Louis, Missouri. Kathy says hi there from Buffalo, New York. Wana's from Tyler, Texas. Kate's from Sacramento, California. Jody is from Norman, Oklahoma. Mary is from Washington, New Jersey. Beth is from Chicago. Peggy is from Alexandria, Virginia. Leanne is from Indiana. Looks like we have some representation from all over the country today. So, yeah, keep typing in the box. Let's see, Linda's from Myrtle Brock, South Carolina. Christy says hi from Denver. Whitney is from Bend, Oregon. And Paula is from Weston, Florida. So welcome everyone. Lots of names and locations being typed in. So that's perfect. If you've been with me before, you know that I like lots of engagement. This is meant to be really interactive. I'm here with you for 90 minutes. And my entire world is insulated to be just here with you. My devices are off, my email's off, my phone is off, all my social channels are off. I'm fully here with you. So I ask for the same thing in the return. You're here, you're investing your time. You cannot learn from me today and multitask at the same time. It's impossible. I'm going to be teaching some real money stuff today. I'm going to be showing numbers and talking about numbers because money is numbers. So you'll want to pay full attention. And the way to do that, use the chat box, engage with me, ask your questions, put comments in, and just make sure to go ahead and turn all your devices off. So as we get started, many people are here for lots of different reasons. So why are you here? Maybe you're here because you're stuck. And a lot of people are stuck. We all get stuck, in fact. It's some area of our life. And so when we're stuck, we usually need some help to get unstuck. And I was having a conversation just a couple days ago with an old colleague of mine that I actually studied with, and we were talking about I was asking him how he was doing, and he said, Christina, I'm just stuck. My marriage is stuck. I don't know what to do next. And I'm calling you because I want to talk to you about some personal coaching because no matter what I try, I just can't seem to get anywhere different than where I am now. So many of you may be here because you're feeling stuck with money, stuck with life, just stuck in general. So maybe you're here because you earn a high income and you don't know where it all goes. A lot of my clients, my students, are what I call high income broke people. I know that very well. I was stuck there for a long time. But many times we think that, I should be in a different spot because my income's high, but I'm not making any money. I'm still not saving, investing. Maybe you think you're bad with money, but you want to change that. So a lot of people come to me because they're like, I'm afraid of money. I suck at money. I'm bad at money. I've never looked at money. And so, but I need to change that. Maybe you're here because you can't seem to save or get ahead. And many of you may be here because you're in debt and can't seem to lose that debt weight. So no matter why you're here, we're going to probably cover everything today. So we're going to we're going to delve deep into this money conversation. I love talking about money. This is one of my favorite subjects, and so I'm really passionate about helping others get as equally excited about this topic as I am. So on this slide here, you see a bunch of different parts in an airplane. And today I'm going to give you all the parts to the plane that when built, this plane is going to fly you to what I call Millionaire Island. And Millionaire Island means when you get there, you're a millionaire. So by the end of today's talk, you'll be able to take all the parts and put together your own plan. And at the end of today's talk, I'm going to tell you about my next money mastery class for those of you that want to fast track the build of the plane so you can get to Millionaire Island that much quicker, meaning to actually become a true millionaire. Then you'll want to stick to the very end because I'm going to tell you all about my latest program that I'll be offering that is all the pieces, parts, and the full model to become a millionaire. All right. So if you're ready, go ahead and type in, yes, I'm ready. If you're ready to learn about money, if you're ready to learn how to become a millionaire, then go ahead and type in the box right now, yes, I'm ready. Yes, I want to learn about money. Yes, I want to become a millionaire. And I say this because we have to learn about money if we want to become a millionaire. So, who doesn't want to be a millionaire, multimillionaire? But we just seem to think that over time, life will work out and we'll have our million plus in the bank. Life doesn't work that way. Money doesn't work that way. If we want to become a millionaire, if we want to become a multimillionaire, whatever the case is, whatever our money aspirations are, the only way to get there is to learn about money. But nobody teaches money. Nobody talks about money in a way that we are able to learn it. So you're here to learn about money. You're here to learn about a millionaire. Then you're in the right place. All right, so Wanna says, yes, I'm ready. Kate, yes, I'm ready. Christy, yes, I'm ready. Melissa, yes, I'm ready. Linda, yes, I'm ready. Chris, yes, I'm ready to become a millionaire. Monica, yes, I'm ready and I want to become a millionaire. Or I think Aurora says, yes, I want to become a millionaire. I want and need financial freedom. You are in the right place. Vicky says, yes, I'm ready. Renee says, yes, I'm ready. Kathy, yes, let's go. All right, you guys are ready? So am I. All right, so we're going to jump right in to some money talk right this second. So if you have a pen or paper, you might want to start writing things down. And if you're taking notes on the computer, it doesn't matter. But you're going to take some notes today. So go ahead and be prepared, and it starts here. Here might be the first thing you've never learned about money. And no matter, I've read probably every money book that's out there. I've studied under lots of money gurus. I read money blogs probably every single day. What I can tell you is nobody else will tell you this. And what I've discovered in my own life and how I've made my own millions is figuring out this little basic formula right here. So to me, this has made all the difference and has really cleared up a lot of the confusion that I had for many, many years when it came to what all these people would talk about: earn, save, and invest. So here's the thing, like we're supposed to know what that means. And it's flawed anyway, because it's not earn, save, and invest. It's earn, spend, and invest. Let me say that again. It's not earn, save, and invest. It's earn, spend, and invest. And so this is the thing you want to know about money if you want to become a millionaire. Money has 3 different disciplines, and these are 3 different disciplines, distinct disciplines. What I mean by discipline is 2 different things. The first thing about discipline, a discipline is like an area of study. An area of study. So it's a discipline. Maybe that's a science. It has its own distinctions and its own knowledge. It's a body of knowledge. And there's the discipline with the discipline, which means the practice of being in that discipline. So, for example, there might be martial arts as a genre of a certain practice, right? That goes back many, many thousands of years. But there are different, even though that's the genre of martial arts, there's different disciplines in that category. There might be karate, Tai Chi, Kung Fu, whatever they are. I'm making those up. I don't really know anything about martial arts, but those are disciplines within that category of martial arts. And if you study under each of those disciplines, you learn different things. They have different philosophies, different lineages, different specific practices, a different community, for example, that really followed that specific discipline in that class of martial arts. And then there's those that have discipline within that discipline that become masters and experts and really distinguish themselves from everyone else that might just sort of flirt with studying or practicing one of those disciplines. But that's a discipline. It's like a body of knowledge, study, and practice. So what people don't teach about money is that money has 3 distinct disciplines. Money is that genre, that big clash, just like martial arts is, but then there's these different categories inside of the money genre. And here's the thing. If we're going to become a millionaire, we have to learn how to, write this down, We have to learn how to get good at all three of these disciplines. We have to learn the discipline, then be in the discipline. Just like if we were going to make our millions and have a net worth of millions through being in some martial arts practice, and there were three that we'd have to learn all three, we'd have to practice all three, and we'd have to get good at all three. So that's what is really important to take away here. And these aren't all mushed together, they're distinct. So we have to learn how to earn. Earning isn't something we spend a lot of time thinking about. All we want to do is make more money. I mean, who doesn't want to make more money? And who doesn't feel like they need to make more money for life to be better, our financial life to be better? But what we don't understand is that earning, there's a science, there's a discipline, there's knowledge to what earning is and how to earn. So it's not just wanting to earn more, or feel like we should earn more, or that we're working hard and therefore should be earning more because we're working hard or harder. Earnings don't work that way. So we have to learn how to earn and spend time learning how to earn and then applying those disciplines. The second category of money is learning how to spend. Nobody talks about this. It's not saving and investing. The second money discipline is learning how to spend, but nobody talks about spending. There's this, this antiquated thing called budgeting. Budgeting is stupid. It doesn't work. But budgeting, it might keep us from some overspending, but it doesn't work in the long term. It doesn't work for the digital age. It was created for the industrial checkbook age. It's not about budgeting. It's about learning how to spend. And when you get good at spending, here's a secret. Write this down. You don't earn your way to become a millionaire. You spend your way to a millionaire. And I'm going to teach you why and how today. So I'm going to say that again. You don't earn your way to becoming a millionaire. That's what popular belief is. The truth is, and what nobody tells you, is millionaires make their millions in knowing how to spend. And that's what I'm going to spend my time today teaching you, is a exact way to spend that will guarantee you to become a millionaire. The third category of money discipline is investing. Once we get good at earning, once we learn how to spend and have our spending working for us, then we'll have money to invest. If we don't know how to earn and we don't know how to spend, we'll never have money to invest, which might be the case for many of us here on the call today. But once we know how to earn, once we know how to spend, we'll have plenty of money to invest, regardless of how much money we earn. So then we need to go in to learn the third category. The third discipline is learning how to invest. What is return on investment? What is compound interest? What are assets? What is cash on cash? There's different distinctions, for example, just in the investment discipline. I'm an investor. My husband and I are investors. We're good investors. We've learned it over time. We spend a lot of time in that investment discipline these days, but we haven't always been investors. We had to learn how to spend first, and then when we had the resources, the money, to start investing and wanted to get good at that to really increase our returns, then we really engaged in the study of that. So at this point, I can pretty much declare that I'm pretty good expert at earning. I know how to earn. I'm an expert at spending, and I'm probably an expert at investing, relatively speaking. Can't say I can get close to Wall Street and that level, but when it just comes to personal finance and growing money, earnings, and wealth, meaning net worth, I'm pretty good at it, and I'll show you that today. I'm going to teach you my secrets. So these are the three money disciplines. If you've never spent time learning how to earn, if you've never spent time learning how to spend, and if you've never spent time learning how to invest, it's probably likely that you don't feel like you're earning enough, you're overspending, and you don't have enough, if anything, in investments, and you probably have little to nothing in savings. Don't feel bad. It's because those things are practically impossible if we don't learn how to do these three disciplines. That's the bad news. The bad news is if we want to become a millionaire and become financially free, we have to learn how to do these three things. The good news, it's not hard. Once you know the formula and you start just following the money rules, money laws, it's really easy. It's just a matter of changing behavior once we learn the basics. And so that's the good news. So as we get started today, I'm going to share with you a lot of money knowledge, some money training. This is a money training talk. It's going to be about 90 minutes. So I'm going to talk fast. I'm going to squeeze in a lot of material. And you've got the comment chat box in order to ask any questions or to clear up any confusion, since I will be talking fast. Now, here's the thing. You're going to learn a lot today. And as I share a lot of these things to you, many times what happens is that sometimes people think, well, Christina, this is really easy for you to teach these things or say these things or do these things because you already have the money. You're already rich. And that always, that inevitably happens. Usually doesn't happen on these money talks, but, when I write a blog article, let's say recently I just went and write a blog article about what a great time and how impactful it was that Gary and I went on our marriage retreat, spent a couple days with the author John Gray, Men Are for Mars, Women Are for Venus, in a small group, and it was just this extraordinary experience. Well, I wrote a blog about that. The blog really shared a lot of things I learned from spending a few days with John Gray. And then I get a comment that says, well, Christina, that's easy for you to go off with John Gray. You already have the money. What do the rest of us do? And this really kind of snotty remark. And I get those pretty regularly. And so what I want to share with you, with your permission, is I'd like to give you a little background, because I didn't always have the money. I've been in a very similar position as to almost everyone that's followed me, studied me, and taken my classes. And this is me. In fact, this is me as a toddler, and I'm in front of a trailer home. I started life in a trailer home. I spent most of my childhood in a trailer, in a little single wide, and we grew up very poor. We grew up, poor in that we would go without eating. We would have boxed, like powdered milk that would have to last us for days. And my parents would wait for sales to try to buy ground beef that would last, as long as they could stretch it out. So we were that poor. Both my parents were alcoholics, and so there was alcoholism. There was just some trauma and nasty things that tend to happen, I think, when you grow up in a poor class and in poor neighborhoods and a poor education. Like my education, growing up was, I grew up with poor parents from poor parents from poor parents, but that's where it all started. So I didn't have any advantages starting out at all. But what even from a young age, I was pretty motivated. I knew I wanted to make money. I didn't like being poor. I didn't like being made fun of. I was the kid in class that was laughed at because I had high waters. I had one bra that was held together by safety pins. And one time when I was on a bus to go to a basketball game, my safety pins were showing through my uniform, and the entire bus started laughing at me like, oh my gosh, look how poor she is. She has to use safety pins to hold up her bra. Those sorts of things. I was a regular joke of, from my school, because we just didn't have any money, and I wore the same clothes over and over and over, so on and so forth. Many of you may be able to relate to that. So from a young age, I was motivated to make money. I started working at a young age just to try to make some money so that I could have something to spend, in middle school and high school and so on and so forth. And then, went to college, did my thing, and wound up in real estate. Never thought I would be in real estate, but anybody in real estate, I don't think ever has an ambition to be in real estate. They find themselves there, but this is me. And the great thing about real estate, some of you listening might be in real estate, those of you that aren't. The great thing about real estate is that there's no ceiling to the income. And so since there was no ceiling, and I had a really great work ethic, and I was really motivated to make money, and I just wanted to be the best, I, at a very young age and very quickly, became a top sales person in real estate. And this is me with a gentleman named Gary Keller, and he's the founder of Keller Williams, which is the largest real estate company in the world these days, I think. And this is me getting one of the top awards that year at the annual convention. And so he's, as a top award winner, he said everybody was doing, other people were doing these series photos, and he said, you're my superstar. Let's do a fun, photo. So that's why we have our tongues out and being playful that way. But this is me in my late 20s. I was making, several $100,000 at this point. And what does a kid do that really wins the lottery? My lottery is I found myself in a career where I can make several $100,000. So what does a poor kid do when they come into that much money? Well, a poor kid, what they do is they buy everything they couldn't afford as a kid. So, what did I buy? I bought the big house in the suburbs. I bought 2 cars. I bought a boat. I bought private education for the kids. I bought lots of vacations. I bought lots of shoes. I bought everything. But here's the thing, when you make a lot of money, do you pay cash for the house, for the cars, for the dream vacations, for the designer clothes? Well, no, at least I didn't. So I had a big fat mortgage payment and I had 2 big fat car payments because the cars had to be fancy cars because I had to prove to the world that I wasn't poor anymore. So 2 big high lease payments and car payments, and all the vacations, of course, went on a credit card, as well as the designer clothes and the closet full of shoes. And everything just was debt. Why? Because I could afford to pay all the the debt payments every single month, and it just seemed natural. I mean, that just seemed that the way to do things. So that's what I did, and that was all working really great, and life seemed pretty good until life happens. And life happened to me. Life's kicked my ass a few times in this ride, this journey so far. But this kick was a big one. I was married, and then I went through a really nasty divorce. So when people that make a lot of money or have a lot of money coming in and start buying a lot of, a lot of things, let's say, like boats and cars and houses and who knows what other toys that people buy that make high incomes, and they get divorced. How are the divorces? Well, the divorce is pretty nasty because what did we fight over? We fight over all that stuff that we bought with all that money. And it was like a year-long divorce. It was hell. And during that time, I lost everything, lost all my money. Basically, the attorneys got everything. I was left with nothing. I was a primary wage earner, so I even got stuck with paying child support. And I lost my income because I was 100% commission as a real estate agent, and I was going through a divorce, and it took all my time. And now I'm a single mom. And how am I supposed to be a single mom when I'm in a full-time commission business on nights and weekends? And so it was a pretty low moment at this time in my life. I was scared. I was desperate. I'd lost everything, including my income. Now I was responsible for paying child support, and I was given $150,000 worth of debt. And I got all the debt that wasn't paid off through the sale of the few things that had any sort of value to them, which included about $100,000 of tax liens. And if you've ever had the IRS after you, you know what it feels like. If you haven't, you never want it. And when Uncle Sam, the IRS, is after you, it is stressful. And they are relentless and not nice. And so at this point in time, I was have to pull over my car sometimes because I'd be in a full panic attack with my 2 babies in the child seat in the back, their child seats. And so I just realized it was at some point, and at this point, actually, we moved from the big house to one side of a teeny tiny duplex in a sketchy part of town, and we couldn't even pay the rent payment. The only way we were able to survive is that colleagues at work actually got wind of what was happening, and they brought us over blankets and towels and some food. They paid the utility bills for several months. Everybody just pitched in at work, and I was very lucky for the generosity, because if it weren't for those colleagues, I'm not quite sure what would have happened. But that's how desperate it was. But it was at that moment, it was such a low point, one of my biggest low points of my life, that I was looking at just in my children's faces and thinking, like, how did I do this? Like, I wanted so bad for them to have a different life than I had at their age, and here I was producing them a broken home, completely broke, totally in debt, desperate, no income, can't even feed them, and I'm just thinking, I can't do this to them. So it was really at that moment that was a turning point for me, that I thought that, you know what, I've made money, I can make money again, but it's not about making money, because I made money and I lost it all. There must be more to the equation. So that's really where I made a commitment to my children that I was going to turn life around for them. And I thought at the time, and I was right, that the way to do that was to learn about money. So like I said earlier, I learned everything I could about money. I've read probably every money book. I read everything about money I can get my hands on that's anything good. And actually, what the next thing I put on my credit card, I guess I had a little room on my credit card, but I invested in a money course. And so that was the beginning of my change. As I invested in a money course, I put it on my credit card, and I just thought, okay, here's my last chance. I think there's something to learn here, and that's what I did. Took the money course, which actually did change my life. So from there, I spent over a decade really studying money, learning money in business. I spent over a decade in a master's discourse for business professionals and learned the fundamentals of business and money and wealth building. And I was a rigorous student in that program, and I did it for 10 years. And it was a lot of online work and then meeting in San Francisco 3 times a year. So yes, I did that for over a decade. And that particular program was right about $15,000 a year, plus all the travel and everything else. Just the tuition was 15 to 20 a year, plus extra things that you'd pay for along the way. So that was that investment, which was a really good investment for me, because the return on that investment, that first money class investment, and those book investments, and then ultimately the discourse I told you about, is that it really became the knowledge that gave me the ability to create the nationally recognized Good Life Realty, the Paperless Agent. I went on to win awards like Innovative Innovator of the Year, was on the front cover of US Today. My businesses were always best places to work year after year, was featured in an Evernote commercial, was featured on an Apple iPad commercial. So clearly, big payoff for all that learning and money I invested in order to really understand how money and business works. So that was that. And those businesses really started to gain momentum, built my money back up, learned about money, and life was working really great. I'd really reached sort of the pinnacle of my career until 2013, I nearly died. And this is me barely holding on. I'm fairly anorexic there. The picture doesn't really do it justice how sick I was. But I was very sick. No, the traditional doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong. And I was sort of dying a slow death. And what happens is that when you're on your deathbed is, we always hear those stories, like when you're on your deathbed, all the stuff doesn't matter. It's the people and the experiences that do. And I can promise you from my own experience, that's true, because I had that own experience. This is another place of existential despair, because I realized that I had done everything wrong. That's great. I'd learned about money and business, but even when I learned about it, everything still became about purchasing things. Now, granted, I only purchased what I could afford with cash, but it still was a very external world I lived in. I still wanted the recognition. I wanted the awards. I wanted the achievement. I wanted the accolades. I really cared what other people thought. So I made sure that, I looked a certain way to the outward world. And I sacrificed a lot. I sacrificed my health. I didn't take care of my health. I thought, I sacrificed health for wealth at the time. And that lifestyle, like I said, literally nearly killed me. And got very sick and realized, like, holy cow, I'm dying and I haven't even lived yet. And so that, I sort of made a deal with the universe that said, okay, give me another chance. I finally think I got all the lessons, and I promise I'll do something with it. So, thank you, universe. Universe did give me another chance. But here was another thing that really happened, like smack dab in my face. And this was a realization once I was on the other side, and we really realized that we were going to beat this illness and I was going to make it back. And here's the thing. I sort of had it was this paradox that I had realized, and I wrote it in my journal at the time, and I said, the weird thing is that money matters more than anything, but it's not about the money. Money matters more than anything, but it's not about the money. And that was this paradox I'd realized at this moment in time. And that was, money matters more than anything. You know why? Here's the hardcore truth. The hardcore truth is that I would be dead today if we did not have the money. We had money in our buckets, where I'm going to teach you here in a second, and it was $250,000. We drained every single last dollar, and then we had to sell a couple small assets in order to get my health back. But if we didn't have the $250,000 cash, I would not be here today, because the medical system, the alternative medical system that I used to help me regain my health and get rid of my illness wasn't covered by insurance. So that was the hardcore truth. Like, holy shit, money matters more than anything. I thought it was about buying stuff and, giving a damn what other people thought. But it's not about that. Money is life or death. Money is survival. Money is good life. And it's not about the stuff. It's about health and experience and family. And so that was a big realization. But the thing is I learned money matters more than anything. And in my case, it saved my life. And anybody that says otherwise, I just call bullshit, because it's an ideology and it sounds good. And wouldn't we all like to think that money doesn't matter? But I don't believe that to be true. So I'm the one that's going against, sort of that feel-good belief to say otherwise. But anyway, because I learned those lessons, I went on and I wanted to tell the world, like, scream from a mountaintop, like, I think I finally found the answer. Like, I've got it. We're just focused on the wrong things. What all the people are saying out there, it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. And so because I was just coming out of the illness and everything, and I had this second chance at life, right out of that, 2013 I was sick. 2014 I came out and I wrote a book, because I really wanted to share and tell the world, shout from the mountaintops, this money thing matters, and here's the thing, we have to learn it. And I've got these lessons that I had to nearly die to be able to listen and pay attention and wake up, but I think I have, and I want to share them. So that's the reason why I wrote the book. And then that's gone on. My companies like Paperless Agent and Good Life Realty and other businesses I've really passed the torch on those. I've sold ownership of those, and I am now fully spending my time in my newest venture, why you're here today, called Wealthy Wealthy. And it's really the intersection of money, health, and happiness. And I teach all three, and you're here to learn the money piece, but we need money to be healthy and happy, and we need health in order to enjoy money and be happy. And happiness really is the sum of the money and health equation. So that's what I'm doing today. And I'm just here to help transform lives. I'm just passionate about making impact. And I believe, without any shadow of a doubt, I believe that money matters more than anything. And if we don't learn the money, we're going to barely survive and suffer most of our life, versus totally squeezing the juice out of life and making our own huge impact in the world. Because when we're stressed out financially, paycheck to paycheck, can't get ahead, we're feeling stuck, we have financial tension, we're fighting with our spouses all the time about money, we can't give our children what we'd like to give them, and we feel like we're compromising and sacrificing all the time, and then we just get more tired at the end of every day and every month, over year. That's not the good life we all deserve. And I truly believe that learning money and applying money skills, money knowledge and skills, can change everything. So that's why I'm teaching this today. So one more thing I would like to share with you before I start teaching some more content, thank you for giving me an opportunity to tell my story, is that this slide here is my personal net worth. And it's I'm sharing it with you because I believe in true transparency and disclosure, especially people teaching money. And I was in the real estate industry at a very high level for many years, and I spoke the circuit. I hung out with the biggest players in the industry. And so I was a speaker, and then I'd be listening to other speakers, and all these speakers are sitting there pontificating, you should do this to generate more business, and you should do that, and you should do this technology or tool, or so on and so forth. And all I'm thinking about is, like, I wonder which one of these people on stage actually have any money in the bank. How many have net worth? How many actually do have the authority to be teaching rooms, hundreds or thousands of people, what they should or shouldn't be doing? And so I don't know, like, nobody discloses their personal income and net worth, but I just like to advise people that if you're learning about any subject from anyone, make sure they're experts. Make sure that they've done what you want to do. I mean, for example, if I wanted to lose weight, this doesn't sound very good, but I wouldn't go to an obese person to try to learn how to lose weight and be healthy. Obviously we wouldn't do that. So same thing when it comes to money. Like, we wouldn't go to someone that's broke or that won't disclose their true personal money, open their books basically, if they're not actually practicing what they preach. So this is why I'm doing it. It's actually very vulnerable for me to put my numbers up here. I'm not, I'm sure I'll take some arrows in the back somewhere, but I'm just putting this up here for you in your assessment. If you're here because you want to learn how to become a billionaire, I'm not the person for you. I've never built I don't have $1 billion, not even close. I have no clue how to become a billionaire, so I will never teach becoming a billionaire. I am a millionaire coach because I do know how to teach people how to become a millionaire, and this is my situation. If you want to learn how to become worth $100 million, I can't teach you that either. I'm far from $100 million. Maybe one day I'll get there and I'll be able to teach that. But if you're here to learn how to be worth 100 mil, I can't teach that either. But I can teach you how to get where I am. And the reason why I know that is because I've done it more than once. As you know, when I was in my early 30s and bankrupt with $150,000 in debt, single mom, not a penny to my name, and made the investment in that first money class that really changed my life, that, I learned and I built up my income and my net worth, and then that started to grow. But then in 2013, I lost it all again. Gary and I mean, we drained the coffers. He became a full-time caretaker. So we lost everything again. When you own a business, then the only income from that business is from you, the business owner, basically. When you walk away from the business, the income goes away with it. So we more or less, the businesses started to disintegrate, to crumble. We lost those incomes, and we really just lived out of our buckets. But then these numbers you see right here is what we've been able to build back up since 2013. So God forbid, this will never lose everything again, but if we did, we'd know how to build it again, right? So when you know the how-to, when you know the different parts to the model airplane and you have the model to put the airplane together, you can pull the model airplane apart and put it back together again. And you can do that as many times when you know all the parts and where all the parts go. So this is our personal balance sheet. This is up to like 30 days old. I think I pulled this screen grab from what's called our living balance sheet about 30 days ago. So it is about 30 days old. So that's my personal story and financial situation. And so now I want to teach you the millionaire formula. And you'll want to stay to the very end, because the very end is where I actually teach the exact mathematical formula. But before I do that, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to feel rich? Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to be totally free of debt? Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to have many bank accounts full? Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to be a millionaire? And that's a really important question to ask, because the first step is wondering. It is the curiosity. You have to want it. It can't just be sort of this, ideal that's way far in the background. I want you to really feel it. Wonder, what would it feel like to feel rich? What would it feel like if I had no debt? What would it feel like if I had many bank accounts that would be full? And what would it feel like if I were a millionaire? And really, when we can really dip into what it feels like, we can start moving that direction. So as I start teaching now, what I would like you to do is tell me what your single biggest challenge with money is. That way, if I know what it is, I can make sure that I talk to what your biggest challenge is. So go ahead and type in now, what is your single biggest challenge with money? What is your single biggest challenge with money? All right, so Kylie says, I overspend and do not save. Okay, Kylie, you were just like everyone else, so not to worry, you are in the right place. And so my biggest challenge is little earnings. All right, Kathy, so earning, we need to talk about that. I mean, earning, my question is why too little earnings would be my follow-up question to that. So Beth says earning. Joyce says having enough to go around. Yes. Leslie says getting enough saved so I can invest. Great. Yolanda says wrong spending. Great. Vicki says not incurring credit card debt, have to pay off and then run up credit cards several times. That's very common. Teresa, debt, it keeps reoccurring. Yep, that's just the way it is these days. Geraldine says make enough money. All right, so that's how to earn. JM says, had my own business, lost everything, feels like I'm afraid of risking again. Jim, I've been there. That's part of the risk of business. And then, but we could certainly talk about how to build it again. Peggy says, making it consistently. Cassandra, priorities. Steve, biggest fear is losing what I have. That's a great one. Steve, people don't type that in very often, but that's a real fear that can get in our way. Trish says, overspend, don't invest. Yep. Kate says, overspending. Yep. Victoria, elaborate vacations to create memories with my children. Yes, I don't make a lot of money at my job. That's what Kathy says. Vanessa, I'm so far into debt that I feel like there's no solution. Vanessa, you're not alone. And no matter how far in debt, like I was in $150,000 debt and I got myself out in about 18 months. So it's totally doable when you know how to do it. Pam says no systems. You're exactly right. Systems are required. So you're right on. Leanne, too much debt. Not sure where to start. Yep. Don, not enough coming in to cover expenses. Debt, debt, debt. Yes. Jody, not knowing how to pay for kids' college and weddings. Man, these are good. Leanne, want to get rid of it. I can't seem to get ahead when I have some extra money. All right. So college debt. Yes, that's another debt one. More money going out than coming in. All right. So you guys are completely normal. These are the exact same ones that I see consistently. So it's just, I don't want anybody to feel bad. First of all, congratulate yourself for being here because you're taking this first step to change. And the second thing is you're not alone. And I'm going to explain why we're in the situations we're in and really then how to get out of it. So thank you for sharing with me. I know sometimes it's really hard to go ahead and put that out there in the open, just so that you know nobody can see your comments. Your comments are just between you and me. So, and it's first name only. So anything you do type in the chat box, nobody else can see but me. So, but anyway, thank you for sharing your biggest challenge with me because I know sometimes it can feel very vulnerable. All right, so as we get started, the first place I want to, and this is really, really important, and I know many of you are saying that you aren't earning enough, and like I said earlier, the 3 disciplines to money are what? It's learning how to earn it, learning how to spend, and learning how to invest. So earning is a discipline. So those of you that aren't earning enough, you probably want to spend some time learning the science behind earning. I'm not going to talk about that today too much, although I will answer any questions. If you have specific earning questions, I'm going to be the last woman standing. So throw me any earning questions you have at the end, and I'll speak to those. So, but what I'm not going to spend a lot of other time really talking about earning because it's a very long conversation. But here's the thing: when it comes to earning, we sort of have this belief that somehow we've inherited, and I don't know why this, why this is believed to be true. But here is a total myth. The biggest money myth that I see, and I teach money to thousands of people. I've written a book. I go to money conferences. I'm immersed with money and questions and beliefs about money. And what I see across the board, the biggest myth that hurts people is that we truly believe that the answer to all of my money problems is to make more money. So it's a lot of times has to do with earning. And so if we earn $50,000 a year, we believe if we could just make $100,000 a year, all my money problems would go away. My debt would go away. I could save. I could invest. I could pay for my kids' college if I could just make $100,000. So, but the problem is there's something called Parkinson's law. Maybe you've heard that, but if not, this is really important. There is a law, just this universal law. It's like I always say, like gravity. I don't know how gravity works, but I just accept that it's true. So there's all these universal principles and laws and real truths that if we can believe them, if they are true and we follow them, then they can make a big difference in our life. So one of the laws, these natural laws, is called Parkinson's law. And Parkinson's law says expenses will always rise to match income. Parkinson's law says expenses will always rise to match income. So what that means is that if you then went from $50,000 to $100,000 a year, you're still not going to pay off your debt. You're still not going to, start saving and investing. Just your expenses are going to go up. That's what Parkinson's law says, and it's inevitable. It will happen unless you know how money works, and then you have a system that will keep that from happening. So you have to defeat the law, basically. You have to hack it. So the answer to our money problems is not to make more money. And if that's the case, what is the truth? And here's the thing, and I said it early on, we don't earn our way to become a millionaire. We spend our way to become a millionaire. So how we make our millions is all in spending. And this is what I learned by studying money gurus for over a decade. They all know how to spend. And it's, sure, they got good at earning, but I mean, I studied from multimillionaires that made very modest incomes and those that made, 7+ figure incomes. But regardless of the income they made, they all had one thing in common, and they were master spenders. And so that was a big key that I took from studying the money gurus and studying under them as mentor, as a mentee and protege. And I've had all sorts of opportunities to study from multimillionaires before I was one myself. So that's the key takeaway is before we care about earning or investing, we have to learn how to spend. Otherwise, we will fall victim to Parkinson's law, and our expenses will just grow to match our earnings regardless of how much money we make. So that's why I teach money, how to spend first. So this is what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to teach you how to spend. And there's a reason why. And why I teach money now is I believe like so much of happiness is the sense of freedom. So happiness is not all of happiness, but a lot of happiness is tied to freedom. And it's all types of freedom. There's financial freedom, there's political freedom. There are other parts of the world where they don't have political freedom. And, and even women, for example, have no freedom. And it's really hard to be healthy and happy in those types of environment because humans need freedom. Animals need freedom. Animals in zoos don't do well. So the goal is freedom. The dream is freedom. The hope is freedom. And it's impossible to get to total freedom without financial freedom, money. But again, this is what's politically incorrect, and nobody will tell you this because that would be, someone might call us a bad name by calling that out. But the goal is freedom. So you have to want freedom. When you're in debt and you owe the banks, there is no freedom. That's called handcuffs. It's the opposite of freedom. It's being shackled. Is that the right word? Like shackled. Thank you. So it's like being shackled by handcuffs, and there is no freedom in debt. There is no freedom when there's nothing left at the end of the month. So that's why we have to learn money to be financially free. And so what is financial freedom? This is important. Here's some money stuff. Now I teach this really deep in class, so but I just have a second to cover a few loose terms here. But freedom is, to me, is the freedom to do what you love in your own terms. Freedom to me is the freedom to do what you love on your own terms. I feel very free these days, because of the way we operate our spending and our assets and our asset income. I have a lot of freedom. I have a lot of financial freedom and therefore time freedom. And what do I do with my time freedom? I do what I love. This is part of what I love. And it's, being able to versus have to, do anything for the money. I get to do what I love for the money. So that's part of freedom. Freedom is time and capacity. It's leverage. It's having access to capital, which is capacity. The access to talent, which might be help. It's freedom is time, where you have choice of how you use your time. Some people might want to use their financial freedom to sit in a rocking chair 24/7. Others might want to, make impact in the world and start a new business or be really involved in philanthropy or whatever. But freedom is time, and that's what we're after. And then being rich is having the cash flow to fund the cost of living our good life. So we use our riches, which is our money, which is cash, income basically, that funds the cost of living our good life. And so to be rich means we have enough cash flow to fund the good life, not the sacrificed life. Or the good, the one that is not good enough, that we want something better. So the goal is, and here's the goal, this is what you want to write down, our goal is to grow our assets, our asset income through investing, to a place where the asset income pays for the cost of our lifestyle and not our hard work income. And one of the things that's required in order to make that come true, we have to know, write this down, we have to know how much money is enough. If you're going to hit a number, you have to know how much money is enough to live your good life. That is a key thing. That's one of the first things we do in the class, for example. But if you don't know how much money is enough, then the answer is always going to be what? It's always going to be more. But more is not a right answer. We all need to know how much money is enough to really underwrite the cost of living a life that's good enough, a good life. Not, it doesn't have to be yachts and caviar, but it shouldn't be one of suffering either. There's just survival and suffering. So that's the goal, is freedom, to get to that place where we have the cash from our income and then our assets to cover our good life. And the only way to do that is through learning how to spend. All right, so this is how we learn how to spend. It's 3 parts. There's 3 things, and this is what you can do, is I'm going to teach you what to do. You can get off the call immediately and start putting these things into place. What I'm teaching you is applicable. It's not just theoretical. And my how to spend system is broken into 3 parts. Again, you spend your way to become a millionaire, you don't earn your way to become a millionaire. So that's why we're going to focus on spending first. The reason why we don't have money left over is because we don't have a spending plan. We don't know how to spend. Otherwise, we'd be spending differently. So the first step to learning how to spend is to build your flow chart. What is a flow chart? A flow chart is a replacement for the budget. Budgets are outdated. They don't work. Abundance are about restriction and keeping things very small. Budgets are not about abundance. I'm teaching abundance and freedom. Budgets are the opposite of that. So the replacement for the budget is what I call a cash flow chart. And this is what you have to do if you're going to become a millionaire. These are must-dos. These are have-tos, must-dos. If you're not doing it, you're going to stay broke one way or another. So if you want to change your situation, many of you said you're in debt. Some say you're not earning enough. Some say that you don't have enough money to save, invest. You're here for different reasons. Regardless, if you want to change any or all of those, here are the must-dos. The first thing you must do is you must have a place where you manage all of your spending. The first step is you have to have a place where you manage all your spending. So that can be different software. Gary and I use QuickBooks, for example. QuickBooks is too sophisticated. I'm not too sophisticated, meaning it's more technology than most people need, but we manage lots of different businesses and assets and different things. So QuickBooks is good for that. Some people use Quicken, some people use Mint, some people use you need a budget, but you need a tool. You have to have a system where you itemize all of your spending. You cannot become a millionaire if you do not have all of your money in a software, in a system. That's must do number 1. So if you don't have a software system where you're managing all your money, that's must do number 1. Must do number 2, once you have all your money, must do number 2 is you have to categorize your spending. Must do number 2, even if all your stuff's in a Mint something, but it's all, just random expenses all over the place, just however they land in there, then you won't become you won't change your money situation. So must do number 2, you have to categorize your spending, and you have to break it into different categories. I'm going to teach you the exact categories and how you categorize your money. But the takeaway here is you have to categorize your spending. If all of your expenses, your spending is commingled together, you can't manage it. The third takeaway, the third must do, these are must do's. You do not have a choice. If you're not going to do these, then go ahead and drop off the call now, because you're going to be in the same situation next month, the month after that, and the month after that. The third thing is you have to look at your spending once a month. Every single dollar you've spent, place you spent it, you have to look at it. That's called reconciliation. You have to do that every single month. Must do. So what are the 3 must do's that I just said if you want to become a millionaire? If you're not doing them, that's the reason, number 1, why you're in the place that you're in. It's not by accident. It's not because we're dumb. It's not because we're bad intentioned. It's not because we're greedy. It's not because we are selfish, and not because we're trying to keep up with the Joneses. None of that. It's just because we're not doing the must-dos when it comes to money, when it comes to spending. We have to learn how to spend, and part of spending is those 3 things. I'm going to say them again, so if you didn't write them down, you'll get them. You will stay in the exact same place you are financially if you don't do these 3 things to start with. 1, you have to have a software system where you manage all your money. Mint, Quicken, You need a budget. I don't care. Choose one. 2, you have to categorize your spending into key categories. You can't just clump all your expenses, can't be just all over the place. And 3, you have to look at every single dollar you spend at least once a month. At the end of every month, you have to reconcile your spending. If not, nothing will ever change. I hope I'm making that very clear. So I'm your money coach. I'm your money trainer. I'm being, very direct here, but I might be the only one that will say it straight, so that it might help us change our behavior. But most of us, it's just we don't know that these are must-dos, they're requirements in order to change our financial situation, current financial situation, ultimately be a millionaire. So those are the first 3 must-dos that are all part of the flow chart. Your flow chart is a chart of accounts. It is how you organize your chart of accounts and how you organize / categorize the money in your software system. And it allows us to organize how we flow our money. And this is how it looks. These are the cash flow categories. This is your cash flow chart. If this is exactly the cash flow chart. It's exactly what my cash flow chart looks like. If you were to go into my QuickBooks, for example, Gary and my QuickBooks, and you were to look at how our money is organized in our QuickBooks, it is organized exactly like this. This system works. My system works. It's what we use every single day. So if you want to adopt exactly what I do, it's going to make your life a lot easier, or go try to figure out something else on your own. But this works. These are the categories. This is how you categorize your money. There's, on this one slide, I want you to look at one thing here, just at a glance, until I start breaking this down. See, there's this top half here, and there's this bottom half here. The top half, everything here is what I call above the line. Everything down here is what I call below the line. The line is the 60,000s here, these blue lines here. So this is all above the line, and this is all below the line spending. This is your spending plan. This cash flow chart becomes your spending plan, and then your actual reconciliation, so that you can compare your actual spending to your projected spending. We set all that up in the class. You learn how to do it, you put it together, and that's a takeaway. Like, that's something you do in the class. But if you don't take the class, then at least you can try to get an overview here. So above the line and below the line. And now I'm going to break this up. So this is above the line. These are your categories above the line. Here, this is a spending, what this is a spending, this is your spending plan, basically. It shows plan and actuals. This is what it shows you, how you're spending. So you will be able to see how you spend exactly when you categorize this. So in this case, I'm just made up some round numbers here to make the point, to try to keep the numbers round. So follow me here. In this case, let's say this year, this month, whatever, just to keep the math simple, we earned $100,000. This was total household income. It drops into this main checking account. Gary and I call this checking account our cash flow account, because it's where we flow all of our cash. So, but it's your main checking account. All of your household income goes into this account. Then we have what I call above the line sweeps, which is $40,000. So we earned $100,000. We swept out 40 that I'll talk about in a second, leaving us $60,000 to spend. So what are the categories? The above the line categories are your total household income, your total above the line sweeps, which is the sum of category 1 is taxes, your tax bucket. Category 2, investments, and there's 2 subcategories of your investments buckets, and that's your health wealth bucket that I'll talk about in a minute, and your money wealth, your financial wealth bucket, which you use to invest in assets. So again, your above the line categories, this is how you'll break up your QuickBooks account or Quicken account or whatever. You put all your expenses in there, then you reorganize them into these categories. You have your household income here. Then you have your sum of your ATL above the line sweeps, and the sweeps are a combination of the money that is identified for taxes, categories taxes, and your category of investment. So those are your above the line categories. Your below the line categories. In this case, we earned 100. We swept out 40 to go in those different categories. Again, I'll talk about that in a second. You have $60,000 left. So what are your below the line categories? How you organize and categorize your below the line is you have your living and luxury. So there's your living and luxury category with two subcategories, living spending and luxury spending. And here's a very key distinction. This is a big part of the class too, and because it takes a lot of practice. I do not say the word expenses very often. I mean, sometimes it's the only way to make the point. But the problem is expenses is a noun. It's, we just say, these are my expenses. My expenses are too high. No, your expenses aren't too high. Your spending's too high. Spending is a verb. So I replace the word expenses with spending. That is a real key takeaway. Again, nobody else will teach you this, but it's the difference between success and failure. It's the difference between rich and broke. It's that you understand that spending is a verb. You choose every expense, meaning every place that you spend, which is a verb. Verb means action. You are spending. You're taking action. Every one of us is responsible for every dollar we spend. It's not just an expense. It is spending. Verb, we spend it. So we have to really get connected to our actions. Are our actions serving us, or do they break us down? It's just like, if we want to be healthy and we take the action of eating a donut every day or donuts all day long, we're not going to be healthy. It's an action that's exact opposite of being healthy. So spending is an action, and our spending either serves us or it's hurting us. And that's why we have to master our spending. It's not about expenses. It's about spending. I can't say that enough. So these are our spending categories. This is all about spending. We have $60,000 to spend, and these are our categories. We have our living and luxury category with the subcategories of living and luxury. Living, spending is what we spend on, what you spend on living. These are required. It's required spending, like your mortgage, your car payment, your insurance, your utilities, groceries, some school fees, whatever, gas, anything that's required. Like you have to, it's required spending. So it's mostly monthly. It's almost, within probably, a few $100s of each other, just because the only variable thing is, utilities changing and that sort of thing. But that's your living spending. Your luxury spending is everything else. This is what you spend on Starbucks. This is what you spend on cable. This is choice spending, meaning there's no real consequence of not paying it. Like, you're not going to die if you don't go to Starbucks. You're not going to die if you drop your cable. You're not, you might feel a little left out if you don't hit happy hour every single night, but happy hour is a choice. Eating lunch out every day is a choice. This is spending that is very costly, and we're not paying attention to our spending. We're not reconciling it, and that must-dos, like I said earlier. So we don't even know how much we're spending. Whitney, our money coach, I ask her all the time, I said, like, what's the like during week one, what's the biggest revelation that our students go through? And she says people have no clue how much they're spending. Like, they're totally disconnected, and they're shocked when part of the exercise of the course is to break down every dollar spent during the last 30 days. People just can't even believe that so much money's going out, and they had no idea. That's in our luxury. So here's another takeaway. We have to separate our living from our luxury, because we have to really start looking at, where's this money falling through our hands? Where is this luxury? Where's this luxury spending? And you see, we have an allowance here that what we can spend on luxury, but most of us we're living a life of luxury that we truly can't afford. Our luxury is too high, and we don't feel it. We don't even realize it. It's because we're not paying attention to it. The second spending category is savings. Again, nobody else teaches this, and it's why it's so confusing, and it's why you're not saving. Is because the only way to save is it needs to be part of your spending plan. We try, what we try to do is, the way it's sort of taught is manage your expenses and save what's left over. It doesn't work that way. Parkinson's law says expenses always rise to match income. So we'll never have enough saving unless saving is part of our spending. So we spend to save. Write down that. The trick is you spend to save. Saving is part of our spending plan. And that's how my system is radically different. Nobody else includes this, and it's why the other systems don't work. You have to spend to save. Your savings has to be part of your spending. So you have to reorganize your spending and learn how to spend. And that's what I'm teaching you, is how to reorganize and learn how to spend to make sure that you invest, live, and save enough to live the life that you want and to get out of debt. So this is the second category, is saving. I'll be talking about the savings buckets in a second, but but you spend to save. Now, why is that? It seems a little counterintuitive, and it's because the only reason, it took me a long time to figure this one out, but I finally had my aha moment. And it's when I realized, when I finally asked the question, what is the definition of saving? So does anybody know what like the definition of saving is? Or what is savings? Here's what savings is. Savings is future spending. So a lot of the money gurus, they even, they talk about save and invest like it's one thing, and they're radically different. Investing is about putting money away in assets that grow in value and that will produce future cash flow. Investments, you'll never spend your investments. You can't spend your investments. They're assets. You can't go spend your house that you own as an investment property. You can't spend your assets, but you spend your savings. Savings is just future spending. This is huge. I hope this is a big aha moment for you. If you can get this, again, this can change everything. It's just new learning. Once you get the learning, you can have a total epiphany and change your life. So savings is future spending, but it's big spending that would throw you out of budget. I'm just using that word to make the point, but it would throw you out of, basically, if you have a big $5,000 rainy day expense, and it's going to throw you out of your living allowance here, because this is already accounted for. And if we don't have money in the rainy day, and we have that big $5,000 repair that happens in the house, we're already spending everything here, where does it go? It goes on a credit card, which is what's happened to many of us. But this is the second category, is saving. Second category of spending is saving, below the line. And the third one is debt payoff. The only way you will ever pay off your debt, here's another listen in moment for anybody that's in debt. The only way you will ever pay off your debt is be very systematic about it and know how the hell to pay it off. There is a way to pay off your debt, but you have to know how to do it. If not, you will stay in debt forever, because it's a rigged system. The credit card companies are pretty effing smart. They've rigged it. They've rigged it so you can't pay it off unless you know how to pay it off. I teach that in my class, but you have to understand, you're working against a system out there that's how many billion-dollar system. They don't want you to pay it off, and they rig it so you can't unless you have the knowledge to do so. And so part of how you do it is you have to know how to pay it off, and the difference between the interest and principal, and how to apply extra payments to principal, how much, and then you can almost exactly target when all your debt can be paid off. But not if you don't know how to do it, and not if you keep putting more money on there a little bit at a time. You're going to be stuck in debt hell forever. So here's the thing, your third category for anybody in debt below the line is debt payoff. So those are different categories. Like I said, Gary and my QuickBooks account is categorized exactly like, these are the big categories, and you have bazillions of line items under each one of these, but ours looks exactly like this. And so that is all part of number one. Now here's how to spend part number two, and it's called fill your buckets. Buckets are metaphors for savings accounts, but here's the thing. I want you to imagine, close your eyes for a second. Imagine these great big huge barrels, like those big wine barrels that if you've ever been to Napa. Close your eyes, and I want you to imagine like 3 enormous barrels, and they're all bone dry. Bone dry, not a penny in them, not a dollar in them. Just imagine like they're vacuous. They're, you can say hello inside of them. But so that are your buckets. Now I want you to imagine, just close your eyes and imagine. I want you to imagine just some $100 bills floating to the bottom. And now there's just, just like half an inch of $100 bills at the very bottom of these enormous barrels. Do you feel better than when they were empty? Yeah, you will. Just even a few, because that is psychologically different. Now go ahead and imagine that they're full. And those barrels are just full of those $100 bills. And in fact, they're overflowing, and there's $100 bills sort of floating in the air. Now, how do you feel? That's how I want you to feel. So that's why I use the metaphor buckets, because I want you actually to fill your buckets and want to be able to swim in that metaphorical cash. And this is what the buckets look like. Again, this can be huge, what I'm going to teach you here. And I mean, I really hope that you're getting so many sort of really big aha moments. And this is another one here. So in our case, what we talked about, that there was $100,000 of inflow, what I call inflow. I talk about cash. I talk about money like flow. Money is energy, and health is energy. But in this case, money, so money's energy. We want energy to flow, and we want it to flow the direction that we desire it to flow. But we're flowing our money wrong, and I'll share with you how we're doing that in a second. But in our case, we have $100,000 inflow. That was how much income, household income we made. So here's the line. We have our above the line buckets and our below the line buckets. Our first bucket is taxes. Taxes is a bucket for everybody that's non-W2, because if you make $100,000, do you get to keep $100,000? No, everybody knows that. If you make $100,000, Uncle Sam gets Uncle Sam's portion of our $100,000. So right off the top, non-W2, since the employers don't take it out of your check, right off the top, you don't try to, you don't spend it and then, hope you have enough money at the end of the year to pay it. That's what I did. And that's why I had $100,000 of IRS liens, and the IRS knocking on my door. But every single check, so every time you have that inflow of $100,000, right the second after, the amount that goes to taxes, the percent that goes to taxes drops in the tax buckets. And here's how the buckets work. Just month over month, you're just sweeping this little bit that goes into this account. And so it's just sweep, sweep, sweep. Sweep means this. You're sweeping money from your checking account into your buckets. And think like a broom. Think that you're moving the dirt from inside the house to out of the house. You're sweeping it from one place to another. So these are called sweeps, and we sweep money from the checking account that the $100,000 dropped automatically. We sweep, can be automated or manual. We sweep a small amount from that pay period into this bucket. Now also, in that case, we put 20% or 20,000. Now we're putting 20% in our bucket. So we had another 20,000, and we put 5,000 in our health bucket, and we put $15,000 in our investment bucket. Every time we have a drop of inflow, let's just say that every month is 100,000 or 10,000 of inflow, whatever it is, we do the same sweeps. So the next month, same thing, just a little bit at a time, over time, over time. And we just keep growing these buckets. And growing the buckets over time, we just grow them, and then this health wealth bucket grows, and then we dump it. We dump it into our health. And I didn't have a health wealth bucket before I got sick, and then that's why I included in what I teach now, because our health is our number one asset. When we lose our health, all the money in the world doesn't matter, because we can't even enjoy our money at that time. But so we have our health. What do we dump that into? Well, it could be, mine. I dump mine. Gary and I, we sweep $2,000 a month into our health wealth bucket. What do we spend that on? Well, we do at least 2 functional medicine doctors appointments a year. Those doctors about $600 an hour. I do physical training. I do acupuncture. I do what's called ARP wave. I do blood tests several times a year, lab work, hyperbaric chamber, and all sorts of things, massage weekly. So all that comes out of my health wealth bucket. But I can afford it because I'm just shaving. It's called shave to save, basically, and you just shave a little bit month over month, and then you dump it. This is your financial asset, so that you shave. In our case, we put $15,000 every pay period in here, and we just shave, just a little bit over over time. And when there's enough money in here, we dump it. So Gary and I, every single paycheck to this day, we shave money. We sweep a little bit. We grow this bucket, and then we have enough money in this bucket. We dump it. Where do we dump it? Well, we mostly dump it into real estate. So we own a lot of real estate investment properties. That's where we dump a lot of it, not all of it. We're big, and we dump a lot. We spend a lot on whole life insurance, for example, which is part of our investment strategy. So we invest in technology companies. We do a lot of investments in different funds, but we fill this, and then we dump it into investments that hope, with the intention to put it into compounding assets for future cash flow. So below the line, now right here in this empty space is living and luxury expenses. And so that's already in the checking account. So that's sitting here. These are buckets. These are different accounts that we're moving money out of this main checking account into these buckets. And what we just spend out of this account, which is ultimately what is left over, which is this living in luxury. So out of every single amount now, we had $60,000 to spend after sweeping money into these buckets. And now, outside the living in luxury, we sweep money into what I called the red buckets. And so your R bucket is your rainy day bucket. Obviously, we've all heard that before. We know we should have it. Even Dave Ramsey teaches a rainy day bucket. And rainy day is our rainy day reserves repairs bucket. And that's basically what I call your own cover your ass bucket, basically. And this is the bucket that is your cover your ass bucket when life happens. Here's the thing. Gary and I had $250,000 in our buckets, basically, and this is what we drained, but we had the cash. We're able to pay cash for these doctors. Why? Because these buckets were full. But we had 9 months of reserves in our rainy day bucket already saved. We drained it, but it covered the cost of our living expenses, not the doctors and stuff, but at least the cover of our living expenses for 9 months. And we wouldn't, what would we have done since most of our income went to, basically nothing? What would we have done if we didn't have this money, the ability to pay our living expenses for 9 months when we were both, I was sick and Gary's a full-time caretaker? That's like the reality there. Your E is your education bucket. Education is education. And every single month you just sweep a little bit. So just shave, you grow it just a little bit over time. It slowly grows. Each of these grow a little bit over time. They fill over time until you dump them. Your rainy day, you will never dump this one all the way, but that way when the hot water heater goes out and it costs $2,000, you're maxed out over here already in your living expenses. So you borrow from yourself, and this is your own, insurance policy, basically, your own fund, and you borrow the $2,000 to pay the hot water heater that will be, an expense over here, and then you fill it back up a little bit out of every pay period until it has 9 months worth of rainy day in there. And that's your rainy day bucket. So you use it when you get in a, car wreck. What happens? You have the insurance to cover the big, $5,000 repair, but you have that $500 deductible. Where's the deductible come from, or the $1,000? It comes out of this reserve bucket. Your education bucket is for you and your children. You fill it over years, still, Gary and I, in our education bucket, every single paycheck, we sweep a little bit, so we just shave a little bit and put in our education bucket. This is how we fund our kids' education. We have 2 kids at college age right now. And so, as you know, college is expensive. And how do we pay for it? Their college is being paid in cash out of our education bucket. We have a couple years, ahead in here, and that's what we're paying out of it. But they will leave college without 1 ounce of debt because, we've been shaving over time, just for years and years and years, we've been shaving for their education. Also, Gary and I, we educate ourselves a ton. I mean, we're both learners and we spend a lot on education. So we fill our education bucket and we drain money out of this bucket to educate ourselves. So it dumps out to our kids' education, it dumps out to our education. An example, I just got back from a Bulletproof conference. It was a several $1,000 event by the time that you paid for the 3-day pass and airfare and hotel and food and everything else. So I just mentioned, I said, hey, Gary, I want to go to the Bulletproof conference. He's great. We paid out of the education bucket. There's no conversation, no debate, anything. We have the money. He does his education. That all comes out of the education bucket. And here's a takeaway for people that aren't earning enough. We kind of have this belief in the back of our mind that the older we get, the more money we should make, and the world doesn't work that way. Our earnings is directly tied to our value, and our value is directly tied to our knowledge and skill that is valuable in the marketplace. And the world is rapidly changing. So if we're not totally educating ourselves and investing in our professional and self-growth, our earnings will go down and not go up. So our earning potential is directly tied to how much we invest in ourselves out of this education bucket, believe it or not. The D here is for dreams, and this is how you fund your dreams. And you get to determine what your dreams are. Gary and I take a lot of dream vacations, for example. Back when the kids were young and we're first starting this, our dreams were staycations. But it still cost money to do staycations, or we'd just go down, like an hour and a half from here, Fredericksburg, and get a little Airbnb. It was modest, but we still paid for those out of our dream bucket. Now that our incomes have gone up and, and our investments are really paying off, this can grow a lot faster, and we take different types of vacations today. But the point is every time Gary and I pay ourselves, we shave a little bit in our dream bucket, and we pay for all of our dreams out of this bucket. And these are some things like We're putting in a pool right now, so that's a big dream. We're actually going next Wednesday, we'll be in Costa Rica visiting our son. And we're paying for that trip for cash out of our dreams bucket. And we get to visit him and spoil him a little bit while we're down there. And it's a vacation that's already prepaid. We've paid it for cash out of our dream bucket. The only thing that's not paid for is excursions that we'll figure out those when we get there. Then this final bucket here is and just again, it's shave to save, shave to save, shave to save. Write that down, shave to save, shave to save. And every single pay period, you dump money, you take a portion, you put into the debt payoff bucket, and then you dump this bucket for the amplified extra debt payoff. So that is the bucketing system, and those are the exact buckets that Gary and I use. It's exactly how we do it. The key takeaway here is that every single paycheck since we've been married, we've been doing this, and during meager times and during times when we make a lot more, this never changes. Just the amount we put in the buckets changes. This can change everything, but this is the only way you will ever have money to invest, and it's the only way you will ever have money to save and to pay off your debt, and it's all out of your spending plan. It's not outside of spending, it's inside of spending. There's one final thing, maybe observation that I want to offer you. So right here is this living in luxury piece, like I said, that is over in your main checking account, what we call our home operating account. This living in luxury, Gary and I, we keep ours very low. So our living in luxury spending is really low. We just paid off our mortgage this last week or so, which means our living in luxury expenses are even that much lower. We have zero debts, we have no car payments, we have no house payment, and we have some pretty nice cars and a pretty nice house. For us, I mean, we're not extravagant by any means, and but we have everything we need. We just don't spend money. We don't, we make all of our food at home. We don't eat out. We're very much into health. So our biggest expense is really organic food, and we have a woman that cooks for us because we're both so busy. I suck at cooking. Gary's actually a pretty good cook, but we don't have time for it. So that's really our biggest expense as a cook. But we don't buy anything. Like, we just don't buy anything. Our cupboards, I mean, our closets are empty in this big old house because why would we have stuff that we'd put in a closet, for example? I don't ever buy clothes anymore. There's no need to buy clothes. I have everything I need. So anyway, it's just because our living and luxury expenses are so low, far lower than, just at such a small percent of this income that we make, where do we put all the extra money? Well, we put a lot of money in our health wealth. We put like 30+% in our financial bucket. This is full or rainy days. Clearly we had to rebuild that after 2013, but we overfund, we really fund our education bucket. So we take so much education. We really fund our dream bucket. So the reason why we're able to take all these dream vacations and do these dream things is we pay for it out of our dream bucket. We have no debt, so we don't have this debt bucket. But here's the key takeaway. We keep this low because we live out of these buckets. This is where all of our spending is out of our savings. Because savings is meant to spend. We want to invest in our future, so we put a lot here so that we have plenty of cash flow in the future, so that the income from our assets can totally cover the cost of living our good life when we choose to quit working. And then down here, this is how we pay for our dream life, is all out of our education and dreams bucket. And for example, we had a septic issue, like 2 weeks ago something, I think it was about $5,000 to fix. We keep these living and luxury expenses really tight and pretty fixed. So what did we do when we have that $5,000 septic expense? We paid it out of our reserves here, our repair reserves. And now we'll pay it back and shave it to however many little payments we'll pay ourselves to fill that back up. But that's even how we paid our septic. So we live out of these buckets. And when you can move your life, really reduce these expenses on so much bullshit that doesn't really make a big difference in life, and start funding your dream life by shaving over time, this is immediate gratification. This is good life. If we can get over the immediate gratification, all the marketing and spending on all the stuff that doesn't mean anything, then we can move to a meaningful life, because when you can create experiences for your family, for your kids, when you can get educated and increase your income, This is the life of meaning. Meaning is in here. Meaning and freedom is when you have no debt, when you're living your dreams, when you're constantly growing professionally, personally, and when you have reserves there to cover you when life happens. That's freedom. This is like the freedom chart, all right here. But nobody else will put it, teach you this. And one other thing here is that the reason why, since what we're doing here when we're in our living in luxury, where is a lot of our living in luxury going? It's going to the lender, the big house payment. It's going to the credit card companies, and it's going to the auto lender. So three biggest, we have our mortgage bank, the mortgage, we have 1 to 2 car payments, and we have our credit card payments. Those all three are banks. They're all banks. So what are we doing? Right here, we're funding the banks millions and billions. So because our spending is high and we've maxed out these debt payments in order to have a nice car and a big fancy house and clothing and crap we put on our credit card, we keep this really high, which means we have nothing here. But what are we doing? This is about flow. So we're flowing our money here to make the banks richer. Instead of what Gary and I do, and this is a huge takeaway if you can get this, is we keep this low so that from here, we're not funding the banks through payments, we're funding our buckets. Then we live out of our buckets. So banks don't get rich off us, we get rich off us. Let me say that again. Banks don't get rich off of us, we get rich off of us. That's the transformation you want to make. All right, the third part, and this is the magic formula, and this took me almost a decade to figure out of trial and error, and I'm giving it to you. Again, I never thought in a million years I'd be teaching any of this. Just so that you know, I was world-class real estate sales, broker, owner, investor, speaker, disruptor. That was my world. When I got sick in 2013 and came back from that, I left all that behind to do this. In 2012, if you have told me that I would be teaching money today and would be sharing my personal secrets and things I was doing everything I'm teaching you. I learned it because I wanted to change my life and the life and future of my kids, because I was in such a bad position. But I just did it for me, for my family, and Gary and I have done this work together to build what we've built together. And we're on 100% the exact same page when it comes to money. But if you'd have told me in 2012 that I'd have written a book, a best-selling book, that I'd be teaching money, that I'd be offering a money class, I'd be helping thousands of people with money and wealth building, I'd have told them, you are crazy. I'd be saying, you are crazy. And that there's no way. Like, I'd have just told the fortune teller, no, I'll pay you $1,000 because you're wrong. So never in a million years would I have ever projected this, but this is what I'm doing. This is, I think, with the universe, so much of what I went through was for me to realize that I wanted to share what I'd been doing for myself with others. But just so that you know, I created this formula for me. It took a decade to figure it out because I was asking the question, how much do I put in all these buckets? Like, what's the algorithm? What's the algebra? What's the math? And I finally figured it out after trial and error. Again, nobody taught me this. Nobody told me this. I didn't acquire this from someone. This was me figuring it out on my own. It's what I call the 20-80-20. And the 20-80-20 is this, and this answers the question is, how much do I put in my buckets? This is a secret formula. When you get to the 20-80-20, this is your guaranteed millionaire, being a future millionaire. And the only thing between you and being a millionaire is if you adopt this formula or not, really. And but this is it. So this is what it looks like. We earned $100,000 in that example. 20-80-20, 20% of 100 is what is the percentage, is our allowance to fund our investment buckets. And I split those up like the 15 and 5 here. The 80%, now we earned 100, we get to spend 60, $60,000 is our spending cash. So 80% of the $60,000 is our living in luxury allowance. This is how much we get to spend on living in luxury, and then we have those two subcategories where we split it up between the two. And then that other 20 is 20% of the 60,000 is our allowance for our savings. So it's the 20-80-20. And if you can organize your spending to a 20-80-20, it is mathematical. you can't, like if you follow the 20-80-20, it works. It's like I said, it's math. So math doesn't lie. Like 2 + 2 = 4. And that's why this finally works, is that if you can get to the 20-80-20, there's your secret formula, and that's what I call it, the millionaire formula. So I need to take a drink of water. So while I do, let me go ahead and ask you, if we were at this $100,000 here, if you earned $100,000, what percentage of that $100,000 are you spending on your living in luxury right here? So go ahead and type that in while I take a drink of water. All right, so let me ask you again, what percentage of your $100,000 are you spending on living in luxury in this hypothetical example? All right, you guys need to engage with me more. You're not listening or just don't want to type it in. Okay, now we've got some answers. All right, so Kylie says 60,000. So that's actually pretty good, Kylie. Obviously, in this example, 60 would, that if we're spending our 60, what that means is that we're probably not saving. But again, at least 60 is not too bad. That's an easy adjustment. Tara says 80. So that means you'd be spending 80,000 on your living in luxury. And let's see, Debbie says too much. Whitney says probably spending 90%. Pam Rose 80%. Wanda 90%. Regina 20,000. Vanessa, well, since I have no savings and I'm in debt, I will make the assumption 100%. Yep. Kylie, not saving at all. Dawn 90%. Kate 48%. Great. JM 80 to 90. Teresa 85. Leanne 100. Shannon not sure. A lot of people are not sure. Paula 100%. Not sure. Not sure. Not sure. Not sure. Okay, so this exercise was just for you, not for me, for you to be able to just maybe have your own aha moment for yourself. But here's the thing. Even in this, I mean, Gary and when we first started, the 20-80-20 is where we started, but now, and this is the math that works, now in this example, our living in luxury is like 20%. So, so where does the rest of the 60% of 60,000 go? Well, we overfund this and we fund our education and dreams. So we've even gotten this down far below 80% because we realized that we don't want to spend all our money here. We just want to spend all of our money here. Because this is where we can really, this is day to day, and life is, pretty ordinary day to day. We work hard. We hang out with friends occasionally. We come home. We do, make dinner. We do what we do. And so, we just keep these things relatively low, but then we take these great dream vacations and do awesome things. And then education, like I said, we go in different conferences and sometimes together, sometimes apart. But again, I can't even emphasize that enough, that life really changes. The goal is to get this down and move our spending out of our dream buckets. I mean, out of our, shave to save, and live out of our when we dump these big buckets after lots of shaving. But it's the opposite of immediate gratification. These things take time to build. But here's the takeaway here, like a rule of thumb. So in this case, we earned $100,000, right? And our living in luxury allowance is $48,000. So what percentage is 48,000 of 100,000? It's 48%. So a rule of thumb is, and a lot of it depends, on these taxes, but the rule of thumb is that our living in luxury expenses shouldn't be more than 45% of our gross income. Let me say that again. These living and luxury expenses should not be more than 45% of our gross income if we're going to invest and save. And the thing is when these are above 45%, like some of us reported, 80, 90, 100, there will never be enough to invest and save and pay off debt. And so the answer is all here. Like the answer is all in spending, and to reorganize our spending to look like this, and to really look at where we're spending now and putting it under a microscope and getting really real with our expenses, with our spending. And remember, spending, we're accountable. It's the actions we take. Nobody else got us in these financial positions, usually. So But we're, it's not because we're bad. Again, like there's no guilt or shame in this. It's just we don't understand how money operates, and we just think that over time things will work themselves out. But money, again, doesn't work that way. So this is it. This is your formula. So I have a few more things I want to teach you here. So if you'll, I want to share one story before I finish up the training. And this is Jamie. Jamie is just such a great success story. She came to me a couple years ago, and I knew her in real estate, and I was offering one of my first workshops. It's when I was doing live workshops, and she said, Christina, I got your invitation. I didn't want to come because I thought I would be so embarrassed because you knew me in the real estate industry and I was a high income earner, and I thought if I came you would judge me because I'd really sort of have this facade that I had my whole money life worked out. But I just knew she was a single mom. She said, I just realized I'd get over my shame and feeling of shame and come and learn. And she said, I'm so glad I did. When she came, she's $6,000 in debt. She earned a pretty high income, especially as a single mom, but she had an executive position, and she was living paycheck to paycheck. She sent me this not quite a year after she took the class, and she had paid off her $6,000 debt in 3 months. And she sent me, this is her bank statement that she sent saying, Christina, not only did I pay off the $6,000, I have $50,000 in my buckets. And I just feel better than ever because before she had zero and she was in debt. Then she, from there, she meets the dude, her guy, and she required him to go through the money class because she wanted to be marriage and money, which is something I teach. She wanted them to be on the same page. And this was from August. She just recently got married. And she said, Christina, we paid for our wedding in cash. We paid for our honeymoon in cash. We bought a house, and we're paying for the remodeling in cash. So she said all of this was possible just because I came to that one money workshop that changed my life. So let me ask you this, and I want you to type in the answer. How would you feel if you had zero debt right now? How would you feel right now if you had zero debt, $10,000 in savings, and your dream bucket overflowing? Go ahead and type that in. I'm going to take another drink of water while you're typing in your answer. But how would it feel? Like really locate in your stomach. How would it feel right this minute if you had zero debt, $10,000 in savings, and your dream bucket overflowing? So Stephanie says, amazing. Paula says, free. Yes, free. Jody says, relieved. Victoria, free. Kylie, free. Whitney, relieved. Kathy, worry-free. Peggy, relieved. Teresa, free. Leslie, fantastic. Tara, peaceful. Melissa, amazing. Wanda, amazing. Vanessa, much more secure in life, like I could breathe again. Kate, it feels amazing, calming. Yolanda says, amazing. Misty says, comfortable. Leanne says, awesome, less stressed. Monica said, it would be a great feeling. JM, I'm ready, dig deep. Okay, wow, excited, exuberant, awesome. Pam says, I am vibrant. Debbie says, relieved, stress gone. Tanya, feel relieved, peaceful. Regina, feeling good about my dreams. Yes, 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 yes. Listen to these words, amazing, free, relieved, stress-free. I mean, the opposite maybe of what maybe so many of us are feeling right now, which is less than amazing, strapped down, stressed, agonizing, maybe a lot of conflict. So here's the thing. Thank you for really reaching and see what it feels like, because my goal for you is I don't want you to have to wonder what it would feel like. I want you to know what it will feel like. And I want to share with you again, in my life, I've been $150,000 in debt, zero savings, could not pay my bills, had no saving. I was fully financially responsible for 2 children. I was paying child support with no income. Make one small investment in learning. I took a money class. It was a Rich Dad, Poor Dad money class at the time, and I think it was a few $100 in my early 30s. That was the first class I took. It was a live workshop. It was the first money class. That class changed my life. It sent me on the path to learn more and more until I learned and applied. I lost it all again in 2013. I nearly died. I'm lucky to be here. I'm only here because of money, because we had the money. And that's really, again, like I said before, it's changed me in a way that I just want to teach others what I've learned, because life then compared to life now is totally different. When you don't fight with your spouse over money, life is a lot better. When you have cash in the bank accounts and the buckets, and that's security. When you have assets that are growing, you can feel more secure about a future. When you can pay for your kids' education in cash, you feel um, uh, just happy, because to be able to do this for the children, and to even think, my children being able to get out of college debt free is something I'm very proud of. And, but we took sacrifice. We spent less to fund their education bucket, is what we did. We kept smaller mortgage payments than a lot of other people making our income. We chose certain parts of town. Like we lived on less, we spent less to fund their income. We spent less to grow some initial assets. We spent less than people that made our certain incomes, to start, growing, to have that rainy day reserve bucket that obviously saved us. So that's real. With a few changes, I know it's real. And here's the thing, money's not hard. I'm no smarter than anyone else. Believe me, I showed you where I started. I had a shitty education in this teeny tiny small town in Arizona, um, and had no advantages other than that time when my colleagues dropped off, some blankets and food and some things to get us going. I've never been given anything else in my life. This has all been created through learning, investing in my knowledge, investing in myself, applying it, trying and error, making a lot of mistakes, and figuring it out over time. If I've been able to do it, I kid you not, you can too. I don't have anything more than you have or anybody else. So we're at a turning point right now. I've shared a couple of my turning points with you. Maybe this is yours right now. And you just typed in what it would feel like to have $10,000, your dream bucket overflowing, and no debt. Stay attached to that feeling, because here's the thing, your desire to change must be greater than your desire to remain the same. I'm going to say that again. Your desire to change must be greater than your desire to remain the same. And you have to want it. You have to feel it. You have to want it so bad that you're willing to make some changes so that you can change your situation. If we don't change, you don't change, if I don't change, whatever, we will always remain the same. But it's passion, it's desire. It's saying, I am sick and tired of this situation. I'm going to do something different. That's what I did when I was looking in my children's eyes. It's like, I'm not going to do this to you. If there's a will, there's a way. If it's come hell or high water, I'm going to do everything I can do to change me, to change what I know, to change the situation. And it's just because I was so desperate, and I just couldn't go down any farther. It's like, might as well try at least one thing. I couldn't get any worse. But my desire to change was greater than my desire to remain the same. I didn't want to do to my children how I'd grown up. And here's another very important aha, that when I saw this changed things for me too, is that we don't rise to the level of our hopes, we fall to the level of our training. This is profound. We're all hopeful. We have dreams. Every one of you listening are great people. You are incredible. You have a purpose on this earth. We all have a reason. But when we're financially stressed and strapped, we can't be our best self for the world. If we can't take care of ourselves and our family, how can we make positive impact on the world, a ripple effect to make the better place we want it to be, a better future for our children? All parents want that. They want a better future for their children, for themselves, which we can't do if we're in these less than desirable financial situations. But this is what nobody tells us. Money is not obvious. Money is a skill. Money is a domain of knowledge. Money is a discipline. And what that means is if we're going to get out of our situations, we're going to have to learn it. We have to learn money knowledge and skills if we want to change our money situation. It's the only reason why we're in the situations we're in, is because we don't know any different. It's not obvious. The obvious thing keeps us all exactly where we are right now. You're no different than almost everyone else out there in America, because that's the obvious thing. That what's obvious is keeping us broke. What's not obvious has to be learned. And we have big hopes and dreams. They're great hopes and dreams that will make the world a better place. But the sad, sad, sad truth is that our hopes and dreams will never be realized if we don't get the training. So that's what I'm offering you now. As early on at the beginning, I said that, I was going to teach you my millionaire formula. I just gave it to you. I gave you all the must-dos broken down into the 3 steps. If you start right today working towards that, your life will be different a year from now. So you just have to go do it. But I also said at the beginning that if you wanted to hear more about my class, my last class I'm going to be teaching this year, my money class, which is a fast track to doing this, what I taught today, then with your permission, I'd like to share that with you right now. If you're not interested in knowing about my class, I get that, not a problem. You don't need to go any farther. Right now, the content is complete. But if you'd like to learn how to fast track everything I taught you and get all your money house in order for the new year and start 2017 from a place of power and empowerment, I will share with you how you can do that. I'm going to share with you the fast track 28-day program that you'll do everything I just taught you with my money coach Whitney and my entire team. So here's the thing again, if you don't want to hear anything else about the class, you can go ahead and click off now. But do me a favor, if there are any of you listening that want to hear about the class and how to get the fast track package, then do me a favor and go ahead and type in yes in the chat box. And while you do that, I'm going to grab another sip of water. All right. So, JM, yes. Teresa, yes. Misty, yes. Leanne, yes. Kyla, yes. Whitney, yes. Pam Rose, yes. Victoria, yes. Virginia, yes. Wendy, yes. Vanessa, yes. Melissa, yes. Deb, yes. Tanya, yes. UK, lots. I have a full page. I'm sliding down pages of yeses. All right, guys. Thank you. I hope you've had some aha moments so far. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for your engagement. And my heart is really full right now, so I'm almost teary-eyed. All right, so this is what the class is. It is a 28-day class. It is a class and program. It's an online class combined with group coaching and some one-on-one coaching. So it's 28 days. My team is engaged with you during this 28-day class. How it works is you sign up for it. It starts officially next Monday, which is October 10th. So I'm so excited for today because this is the last chance to sign up for the next class that's starting, and it's the last class of the year. You sign up, you get a username and password, we get you onboarded and in the program. You can watch this video content, it's workbook content, online workbook content, and then it's group class. You can do the online video tutorials. It's me teaching. It's, you get me at my best. And I'm teaching all the everything that I just shared with you in a lot more detail. It's a 28-day program. I just squeezed it into 90 minutes. So imagine spreading that out over 30 days. And then you do the homework, and it's dropped every single week will be that week's material that you watch and you do the work. Also during the week, there's lots of opportunities to sign up for group coaching calls where we talk about the week and coach to the week. And during the 28 days, you can sign up for as many one-on-one coaching sessions with Whitney, our money coach, as you want. And so we are fully yours for 28 days. We're completely engaged and invested with you during the 28-day class. You get your own class. This class is called D as in dog, D16, with your other classmates. And so it's not like you just get a course online and you do it on your own and, those don't work. This is actually a 28-day full program that we're very in it with you during that time. So the program is called Mindful Money Mastery. You will master money by the end of the 28 days. You will change your life in 28 days. And I can say that because everybody that starts and completes the program, it's just transformational. So, we're very proud of it, the work we've created and what we do, but we're really proud of the students because they make the investment and they change their life. Now, real quick, who this is not for, this class is not for everyone. And it's not for anyone who wants the magic pill, the get rich quick thing. You can buy those infomercials at 2 in the morning. That's not this. And this will take some work. It'll take between 2 and 4 hours a week, so it's not a ton of work, but it does require work. It's not just watch a few videos and through osmosis it's going to solve all your money problems. This will take 2 to 4 hours a week of work for the 28 days. Some people get a lot more vested and do a lot more, but at the very minimum, it will take 2 to 4 hours. And this is about lifestyle. This is for those who really want to make a big, bold change. That's what this is about. It's about big, bold change. This change and and being in a group and environment of others that want to make same big, bold change in their life. Who this is not for is if you're not a nice person. Now, I know that's not anyone listening, but sometimes we have people that sign up for the course and they're just negative Nellies. Like if they're in the group or whatever, they just have downer things to say, or maybe they say something, I don't know. It's just we get some people in occasionally that sneak in, and we kindly ask them to leave and give them their money back, because this is a safe place. It's a very positive environment. When it starts, everybody's very shy and timid and scared, and for many people, if not a majority, this is the first time they've ever looked at their money really, in ever, and if not ever, in a very long time. But by the end, everybody's joking and having fun and sharing their success stories and some of their failures, and it's just a very safe place. And I make sure it's a safe place. This is a place that if you choose, you can hang out your money laundry. Maybe it's the only place in the world that you could do that, and this is a place that would be safe to do so. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it's a safe place to do so, so we just make sure it's a safe place and it's not for anyone that would take advantage of that. Who this is for? This is for anyone that has debt. You will learn how to pay off your debt, and you will pay it off fast. I will give you the how-to system. This is for you if you're a high income earner but still living paycheck to paycheck. So a lot of people that take my class is that they're in real estate, they're business owners, entrepreneurs. A lot of my students are health practitioners. They're making 100, 150, sometimes $200,000 and more, but they're still paycheck to paycheck. This will be very helpful if you're what I call a high income broke person like I've been. This is for you if you live on a modest income but want to learn how to save, because you can save on a modest income. So if you've never been able to save before, but you feel like otherwise you're fairly responsible for with money, then this is a place, because when you look at your spending and you find money and you reorganize your spending, you'll feel great, because for the first time maybe ever, you'll start saving. Everybody's already saving by the end of the 28 days. And this is you're changing, you're doing the work throughout the 28 days. So by the end, it's not like you just learn and then afterwards you have to go apply everything. Each week you're starting to apply and build all the different parts that I just taught you. So this is for you if you're scared of money, have abdicated money. This is for you if this is the first time you've ever looked at money. A lot of my students are divorced women, actually. And money for divorced women can be very scary. So it's the first time maybe they've ever really had to look at it. So, if you just have negative emotions or afraid of it, or just afraid that you're could never do it, this is for you, because I'll teach you how easy it really is. And especially, I have an equal amount of men and women in the class, maybe a few more women than men, but it's pretty equal. But I'm very passionate about helping women with money for many different reasons. And this is really for you if you're, no matter what your income is, if you're just totally fed up with the hamster to hamster roller coaster income, feast, famine, and you're no closer to building wealth than you were a couple years ago. So that's it. The only thing between you and financial freedom now is really you and making some changes. So the mindful money part is a 3-part system, and we're going to be really spending a majority of the time on the spend, how to spend. It's broken up to this. Part 1 is the flow chart, just like what I showed you. We're going to be we'll get we give you the chart of accounts. A big part of this is a done for you system, so you don't even have to build it. We give you most of the framework itself. But you add the chart of accounts, you organize your own money into the chart of accounts we give you that's even very detailed, and you start categorizing your money like I shared with you the very first week. Also the first week we taught, or the first module, the first part is we talk a lot about the psychology of money. We all have money hangups. Money is very emotionally charged. So if you've not dealt with sort of the neurosis or the dysfunctional feelings of money, money is a trigger, and it's a powerful trigger because it is so charged. So we do a lot of work in the psychology of money, the first part, just so that we can all get to a place of neutrality. And this is really good for commission income or business owners like non-W2, because we organize the class for the work really to help all people, clearly, but for those that are on more commission type income. So that's part one. Part two then is once you get all your flow chart set up, all your expenses categorized, we talk about money and meaning. There's lots of exercise to help you really put your expenses under that microscope. And you have a lot of aha moments. It's the first time ever when you're probably realizing like, holy cow, I had no idea I was spending that much. That's when, like I said, what Whitney says every week, that's like the big takeaway. The second part is the buckets. This is where you set up your buckets. And you go to the bank and you set them up. And so by the end of the second module, you'll have all your buckets set up. We determine and work with you how much you're going to start putting in each of your buckets. Even if it's only $1, it will be something. And by the end of the 28 days, you will have money in every single one of your buckets. And this is another second week. People are like, oh my God, I've never had anything saved. And even though it's just $10 in every single account, I feel amazing. I know I can do this. So it's a success. You succeed along the way. You see these little baby steps, these little minor successes that is so psychologically positive, and you'll see how easy it is and doable that by the end of the second week, you feel like $1 million because you realize you've got this. The third part is really where we set up your money goals and dreams. The reason why I'm so excited about this class is this is the last class of the year. You guys are in such a great position. Like if I were going to buy this class, I would buy it now. Why? Because you're going to get all of your money projections, your income, your money goals, your dreams, everything set up for 2017 so that you can start 2017 with it all done. Imagine what that would feel like. Like January 1, you're just basically in production mode because all of your money stuff is completely worked and set. All the goals and projections are set. So that's part 3 is setting your real money goals. This is where we give you access to my proprietary system, which is my 20-80-20 auto calculator formula. And it is personalized for you. So you get to use this, create your own if-then scenarios. If I earned this, what would this look like? If I change the spending here, where would that show up in different buckets over there? It's a fully automated system that will help you organize your money goals and start setting up your buckets. So the fourth part is debt payoff. So anybody debt, this is actually where we teach you exactly how to pay off your debt, and you're going to put your debt payoff plan in place, and it will be working by the end of the program. So your debt payoff plan will already be in effect by the time the program is complete. So this is what a little bit of what the formula looks like. Here's a little sneak peek into the calculator. You'll use this in the course to create your personal pro forma. Another money tip, you have to have a pro forma. You have to have some goals set in each of these categories. You have to look into the future, then you have to reconcile the past. You have to look into the future and set future goals and reconcile the past. And so that's another money tip. You have to do it if you're going to become a millionaire. And we help you through the course, set all this up. So this helps you set your pro forma for the 2017. This is the income tab. We tell you exactly how much you should be spending, saving, and investing based on your projected income. For commission people, we work with you to get you a really realistic projected income based on looking at some historical data, asking a few questions, so on and so forth. But as commission is probably the first time ever, you may have had like a realistic projected income and be able to project all your spending as a result. This is the ideal flow chart. We tell you how much to put above the line and below the line, like I taught, based on that income. And remember, the 20-80-20 is the ideal. You may not be there. Nobody is actually when they start, but the goal is we get you there, and you know what life will look like when you're there. And that's really awesome because you can see how much money you'll have in all your buckets by adjusting your living and luxury spending and reallocating that money to the buckets. And you get to see, it's not guessing, like you get to see into the future. It's like this system is your crystal ball. Like making these changes, I would have this, my debt would be paid off at this amount of time, all my buckets would have this much money in it, and all of a sudden you realize like, holy cow, I can do this. And then this is a current versus ideal spending. This is where things get really, really awesome. We tell you where your gaps are, where you are now compared to where you want to be, and we tell you exactly what you need to change or can change weekly, monthly, and yearly to get to the ideal formula. So it's these baby steps, just many adjustments over time, and we just sort of jig-jag our way there and work with you until we hit your right numbers that are totally achievable. So that's the 4 parts. That's how the course is broken up. It also includes group coaching and one-on-one coaching. Anytime we make radical transformation in our lives, we need help. And the people that dropped off, for example, that think that they can do this on their own, they really just wasted 90 minutes because this type of change, you can't do it on your own. It's just too big. And even with the best intentions, we are so gripped by our habits and behaviors. It's neuroscience. So because biology always wins versus our will, that everybody that dropped off, they might have learned some great things, best intentions, think they're going to make the changes, but they're going to go right back to exactly the way they've always already done it. And before, I used to not have coaching in my course, but I noticed that the completion rate of my course wasn't too great. And so now we've included a lot of coaching and turned it into not just an online program that anybody can join at any time, but true classes where we're in it with you. So lots of coaching, lots of engagement. That's Whitney right here, and she's your money coach. She puts her heart and love into this. This is her life's work to help people with money. She's a certified financial planner, which means that she's no money dummy, quite the opposite. She's at the top of the industry, I think only like 5 to 10% of all financial planners and advisors actually are take the additional education to get that level of certification. It's the highest level of certification in financial planning. So she's a financial planner advisor that is your money coach. And like I said, she goes above and beyond to help everyone succeed with the program. And there's a community. Again, here's pretty beautiful Whitney, your money coach in the community. This is an example, for example, as one of the group calls, is that you get your mugshot up there during the different group calls, and everybody pitches in and learns and talks. And we have everything organized around, different conversations, but it's just week to week. We really break down that week and coach to it. And then finally, we have experts. Is that part of being a millionaire is who's in your money network. And also, there's that Jim Rohn quote where the average of the 5 people we spend the most of our time with. I've always believed that to be true. I've always surrounded myself with people that are far smarter than I am. I'm pretty lucky. I have damn smart people that are part of my community, my network, and that I even call friends. And so I've been very intentional about this. I think I probably have the best group of financial planners and advisors, in the country, and feel very lucky to have access to this group. The group that I work with now, that probably most people on the call wouldn't have access. They're anywhere from $500 to $1,000 an hour, and they're all, usually only work with people that have a certain net worth of usually at least 10 million and above, but they make themselves available. They show up, they teach, they're part of my networks, our communities, our students, and our students have access. So right there, that's worth, that's really valuable if you want true advice from people that are really some of the leading experts in the world. So all of this, that's my 28-day money mastery program, and it is a $2,000 program. I don't charge $2,000 for it, so don't just panic, but it is a $2,000 program. I know this, I've compared it to anything else on the market that's even semi-comparable, and these are what comparable products are sold for. You can go look them up yourself if you don't believe me. And this is a fully packed 28 days. I'm not charging $28,000. I'm not charging $2,000 for it. But if I did charge $2,000 and all you did was save an extra $5,000 a year, I've had clients that find $20,000 a year. If all you did was save $5,000, paying $2,000, would it be worth paying $2,000? If you paid $2,000 and eliminated $6,000 in debt in 3 months, like Jamie did, would it be worth it? If you got a $30,000 raise that you've been afraid to ask for, would that be worth the $2,000 investment? What if it ended money conflict in your marriage? How much would it be worth? So it just depends. Like anytime, this is some money, I'm teaching you some more money stuff, is that anytime we look at price, don't look at price. Look at the investment and what could be the potential return and the return on investment. Anytime you spend money, you look at return. The reason why Gary and I keep our expenses low is there's very little return for us, emotional, financial, whatever type of return on buying stuff that we don't really want or need, that the novelty wears off like 3 days after we buy it. So that's a return. We look at all of our spending with some sort of return. So that's money coaching right there. Anytime you spend money or you invest money, what's the return? And return is if you paid $2,000 and you got $5 back, that's a pretty good return. Regardless of what the price is, it's a 28-day program, and I give a 30-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked. I'm in this for the long haul, guys. This is my life's work. I've been called to do this. I'm going to be here for a long time. I'm not here to take anybody's money. I won't stay in business long if that were the case. But I'm giving you my best work. It's what I do. It's what I teach now. And if you're not fully satisfied after, completing the program, I'll give you your money back again. Like, it's either going to produce a return on the value on your investment or not. And if it doesn't, I'll give you your money back. That's my promise. And here's the thing, just so that you know, that on the money back guarantee, I've never had to give anybody's money back. That is true, except there's 2 times. The only time we give people money back is when they don't start the course. So some people buy it and they don't start, and then they want their money back. Many people are kind of shitty and be like, oh, I didn't like the course or whatever. And we're like, dude, you never even opened it. We can see on our side, so don't give me that. But so that's the only time. The other time, sometimes life happens. We do have people that, that do buy the class, and then life happens. Like one woman that bought the last one, she'll be starting this time actually. No, she'll be starting this time actually, because she bought it, but then she got transferred overseas, so clearly with a new job. So, she asked if she could get her money back, and we said sure in that case, and she said she'll come into a next one. But that's how it works sometimes. So it's not $2,000. It's only $597. So if you've enjoyed what I've taught you here today, if you think by doing these things could change your life or at least improve it, where it would be, you'd have more money than $600 that you invest right here, then go ahead and make the investment. Do this do this for yourself. It's a small investment. I promise a return. You will find the $597 that you didn't even know you were spending in the 28 days. So we haven't had anybody yet that didn't find $597, the more than paid for the course that they invested in. So go ahead and just get started now by just typing in wealthy.life/money, or you can just type in the word link and my team will go ahead and get you set up. So it's $597, but there's more. I'm going to, when does this start? This starts on October 10th next week. And again, it's mostly online, so it's not like you have to start on November 10th, but that's when all the material will start dropping. So I'm going to also throw in some gifts for you. I'm going to give everything. I am throwing in the kitchen sink because I don't want any excuse not to take this class in October, because your life is going to be so much better if you've done all the work and you're completely ready financially for 2017. You're going to be in such a better psychological place. You're going to have money in the bank. You're going to have your debt payoff plan. You're going to know how to save. You're going to know how much you're spending. You're going to have all your projections set up for 2017. You're going to have your money goals set. You're going to have some personal goals set. You're going to have all that done by 2017. I mean, that's why I'm so excited. So there's no excuses. I'm going to give you every reason that you cannot create any excuses. So the program is $597 for the spending system. I'm also going to throw in my earning system. I know that a lot of you said you need help earning. So this is a separate class. It's a $1,000 class where I teach people how to earn. That's how Jamie got a $30,000 raise, is learning value and how to ask for, how to really describe your value to an employer. In fact, I was working with a team member last night, and I was teaching her about value and how to pitch your value to the employer, because that's the only way you're going to get more money, is if you can convince your employer of your value and you know how to articulate that. And most people don't. They just say, hey, I deserve more money, or I need to make this much. And employer's like, I don't care. You're not worth that much to me. So unless you can prove otherwise. So that's how Jamie got the huge raise, by going back to her boss and being, paid market value and doing some research. And then, I also teach other revenue streams. I also teach the difference between business financials and personal financials. And that is a big shift for a lot of people, especially commission people like real estate people, or those that commingle their business money with their personal money, which is a big no-no. So that is a full class. That is a bonus. I'm throwing that as a bonus. When you complete the 28-day program, you could get right started on the earning program, the earning system. This is Cheryl. This comes out of the Facebook group from the last time I taught the earning program. She said, today's business finance coaching was awesome and answered so many questions like I had about the retained earnings bucket. I'm so thankful to be a part of this group. Patricia says, I agree. What I love most is how simple it all really can be. Christina Whitney can do a great job of making the complex so simple. And I love that because that's what we do, is we make things simple. I'm also going to throw in my invest system. And this is, I charge $1,000 for this also. This is the program I actually share with my mastermind people, which are my personal coaching clients that spend about, they spend actually $14,000 a year to work with me personally. So, and then most of those are couples, so you double that. And I work with them on the investment strategy, which there's these 6 key building blocks that I teach. It's very unconventional. It's different than traditional planning, and it's about building wealth fast and getting rich, basically creating wealth and wellness. And that's in my investment training. Again, $1,000 value. I typically only share this with my personal coaching clients, and so I'm going to throw that in too as a bonus. Also, we only have a handful of these, but this is an investment strategy session that we offer those that actually do have money in their investments. Could be 401ks, just most people's money that they have, especially in 401ks, IRAs, stock market, different places, even some real estate. Their money is very inefficient. It's not integrated. It's not in a holistic plan. That means it's not leveraged and it's not earning the maximum amount of return. And few people know this because planners don't tell you this. They're just in it to get you to buy something and collect their annual fees. So anybody that does want us to look at their investments, no obligation. I mean, we'll ask for nothing in return. We'll just give you a complete assessment and a plan of things that you could potentially even go back to your current advisor and have them reorg it. So this costs us real money because our planners are anywhere from $500 to $1,000 an hour. So I can't offer that to many. Welcome, Teresa. Congratulations. Obviously, we only have a few of those, but we do offer that. Again, I'm just trying to, if there's any, I'm giving any reason for you to buy and invest in the class. So this is Pat. She's one of our members. I love working with Whitney, love getting to my numbers, and I've actually grown to love not spending, or better said, mindful spending. So it's the Mindful Money Mastery Program, and this is about mindful money. It's about mindful spending. How part of learning how to spend is becoming mindful. I teach mindful practices. I teach mindful meditation. This is mindful money. We have to be mindful with our money, just like we have to be mindful with our life. And so spending has to be mindful. If our spending's not mindful, then we're likely overspending, and it's keeping us broke and unhappy. And here's my final gift that I'm going to throw in, and this is my November 4th and 5th live event. And this is anybody that I'm going to throw in a free ticket. This is a 2-day event. It's $750, but I'm going to throw in a free ticket to this. So if you want to come see me live in November, I teach my life systems at this event. So it's a very holistic 2 days, and my own personal practices. I'm bringing my team and my network. It's a really fun group. It's small. We only have space for 40 people. It's in my Good Life offices. And so it's small and intimate, and I think we have probably 6 or 7 more seats. And so for this one, so if you want to sign up for that, you'd want to do that right away. But again, I'm throwing in a free ticket to a $750 event. That the event's more than the price of the course itself. So that's it. This is what I cover in the Wealthy Wealthy Live. It's a 2-day event. I go deep into my invest system, my earn system, my health system, my marriage and money 10 P's to a power couple, my 7 F words, life by design, and then again I share my own personal practices, mindsets, bring my community, my experts, and so I'm throwing that in for you. Welcome, Leslie. Congratulations. So that's it. Here it is. All this awesome stuff. Total value $6,250 for how much? Only $597. This is nothing. And better than, here's one more thing that you want to know if you're hesitating. This class will be $997 starting January 1, which is the next time I'll offer the class. This is the last class of the season, and the price is going way up. This is the end of the year price. So this is time. If you want to save money, now's the time to buy this. Now's the time to invest in you. Now's the time to invest in your money training. Remember, we don't fall to the level, we don't rise to the level of our hopes and dreams, we fall to the level of our training. So get the money training. If you want to change your money life, you're here because there's something that's not working, and so I'm here to help you. This class will get you out of your money situation. It will put you on the right path. You know, there's been these times in life that It's what I call, you're going along and you're going along and you're on the path that you're on, and things are normal, whatever, you're gotten used to it, however bad or good it is. And then all of a sudden something pops up, like this email in your inbox that says come to some money class, and you're like, well, I might show up to this money class webinar. I mean, why not? I've got some money issues. And then, but it's just sort of a random choice and you don't even think much about it. You show up to this money class, and then all of a sudden it creates what I call an intersection for you. And there's so many of these intersections that the universe gives us, I believe. And it's a place, these intersections is when there becomes a fork in the road. And it's the universe putting something in our life that otherwise seems pretty random. And then it gives us a new opportunity, an opportunity to make a choice. So here's where you are. You're at a choice of staying and going on the path you've been on and hoping it will work out differently in the future, although that's the definition of sanity, doing the same thing over and over again and hoping that it will be different. Or there's another path that you can take, which is to veer right, which is to invest in you and to invest in this class and give it a try. It's a 30-day guarantee anyway, so if it doesn't work, you get your money back, so why not do it and give it a try? But what if this choice that you can make right now changes the trajectory of your entire life? What if this choice that you can make right now will change the trajectory of your entire life, of staying stuck where you are from now until you're old and too old, or completely reversing and changing the trajectory of where your life is currently headed? Because let me ask you this, if you keep doing what you're doing, where are you going to be at the same time next year? If you keep doing what you're doing right now and don't make any changes even after spending these 90+ minutes together, where are you going to be 5 years from now? Just go ahead and think about it. Where are you going to be in 5 years? That can be pretty scary. I mean, I know I've had coaches ask me that thing, and it's like, okay, damn it, I do not want to be the same place in 5 years. In fact, if I'm still here exactly where I am in 5 years, I'll probably just want to give up. So that was the push that I needed to be able to make the choice to do something different. This money class will change your life. I'm not BSing you. Like, I know that because we've had thousands of students go through. Whitney and I and my team, we change people's lives. This is real stuff. Money's real. And we're in this with you. Whitney will become, some people's like great friends. It's in the Facebook group, is so engaged, energetic, and supportive and fun, and it's just very vibrant. So you're going to meet new friends, new people. You're going to be in a supportive place where you're going to just meet a whole new community of friends. And so do this for you. Welcome Tara, welcome Nita, welcome Pam Rose, and welcome Wanna. You guys are amazing. Congratulations. I'm so excited to see your names come across. So congrats. I'm going to take a quick drink of water. While I take a drink of water, what I would love for you to type in right now is, what has been your biggest aha this during our time together? What has been your biggest aha during our time together? All right. So, so Tara says the biggest aha has been the formula. Thank you, Tara. That was huge. That took me a long time because I was trying to figure out, like, there's got to be some math to this. It can't just be random. I mean, very few things in the universe are random. Like, there's some underlying formula or science or something, and we usually don't know what that is, but things work a certain way. And so that took me a long time. So I'm glad that the formula really stuck out to you. Leslie says the concept of shaving to save in the buckets. Yes, shave to save, shave to save, shave to save. And that's just it. Like, it's just little bits. Even if you just shave $5 a month in each of your buckets, you're going to have something as opposed to nothing. And when you start having something, you want to have more of something. And it's just sometimes just the little bit of boost you need to say, you know what, I don't care about Starbucks every day. And that made a big difference to me. When I calculated how much I spent on, I used to be one who was dedicated to my Starbucks every single day on my way to the office. Then it was like $4 a drink. And then the thing about Starbucks is, what do they have? They have that really beautiful case of pastries and gum and nuts and everything. So it's several times a week. I'd put more things on the counter other than my coffee. So not only am I going out of my way and wasting time to go park at the Starbucks parking lot, I stand there for 15 to 20 minutes waiting for my coffee. It's unhealthy coffee because it's not organic or anything. So it's actually unhealthy coffee anyway. And it's $4 a darn cup. So when I calculated, I realized I was paying $2,000 a year at Starbucks. And so part of this is the work that we do in the class is that when I ask myself the question, is Starbucks meaningful? And then this is part of the work. I say, okay, if I have $2,000, assuming I can afford $2,000 on Starbucks, would I rather put the $2,000 a year in Starbucks, or would I rather put it in my education bucket and take a $2,000 trip and go to a conference? And it became very obvious to me, like, why the hell am I spending $2,000 a year on Starbucks? And that's part of the work that we do, is you just look at some of your spending, action spending, and with every single line item, we go down. This is part of week 1, part of the work, is you look at every single spending and saying, is this cable bill, is it making my life better, or is it a distraction, or do I need it? How does it make my life, how does it improve my life? What's the return on the investment, either in meaning or financial return? And what if, would I rather have it in cable, or would I rather it fund my dream bucket? And you just go through, and there's no right or wrong answer. Just every single line item, you're asking yourself that question. And that's where you're going to find the $600 that's going to pay for the course in the first week. You're going to realize there's all this unfulfilling money that you're spending that's not serving you, that's not making one bit of difference to improving the quality of your life. In fact, it's thwarting your best intentions. But if we're not looking at our spending, if we've never put every single dollar spent action under a microscope, we have no clue. So it's just money in, money out, with our fingers crossed that one day there'll be more left over, especially if we can increase our income, that one day we can finally save, assuming we even know how to save in the first place. People don't know how to save because saving is a skill. We have to learn how to save, and you shave to save. So shave to save, shave to save, shave to save. Regina says, what is the payment plan? Okay, so let me go ahead and I'll do a couple things here, Regina. I also want to let everybody know you get lifetime access. So a lot of people going through, like you'll have previous classmates that will be going through this again with you, because many times those that really get into this will take it an average of 2 to 3 times because they want to turn this into lifestyle. So every time there's a class, they go to make sure that, you know, they're learning more, they meet people, and really they turn it more into a lifestyle and a habit. So here's Cheryl. Cheryl says, thank you for the teachings of our coaching. Yesterday I found out I need to pay $6,500 for eye and dental work over the next few months. My last commission was $622.16, but there was no fretting because I knew I had the money in my rainy day fund. Now look at the date on this. This date is August 17th. So she's writing this from taking our spring class. This is a Facebook group, so this is real. I mean, I'm clipping things out that are directly out of the group. So Cheryl is a real person, not just a celebrity paying one on TV. And so she didn't have anything in her rainy day bucket and any savings before she started the class. Out of the blue, life happens. She has eye and dental work, and she pays for it for cash out of her rainy day bucket that she just started, you know, sweeping money into in the spring. So she was doing it pretty fast. But what would she have done if she didn't have any money in a rainy day fund? Naomi says, I've used the formula for my last 10 checks. I am top of the world. Again, August 20th. It feels so good to see my buckets filling up. I have a whole new sense of security. I couldn't have done it without all of you behind me. Tonight, I'm grateful. This even shows the power of the community. Augie, she's gone through our class a couple times. She'll probably do it again this time. I think she wrote in the Facebook group this week that she's excited to do it again. But Whitney, Christina, Wealthy Team, and everyone in this wonderful group, I appreciate all of you being a part of my journey to financial well-being. It feels so great to have a program and a plan that ensures building my wealth. Then Derek says, everybody should take this class. I've learned so much from Whitney and Christina. You're both very patient and to listen to everyone's questions. So that is real life stuff. Those are some of the latest, just unprovoked, unasked comments in the Facebook group. So I want to share this with you. And here's a payment plan. Some of you have asked about a payment plan. So we can break this up into 3 payments of $215. So if you want to break it up, let us know. or one payment of $597. It's a little less expensive at the $597, but a lot of people need the payment plan. So I did create a payment plan to help any of you that would make it possible. Otherwise might make it a little strained. So it's $250 for a payment plan with a 3-pay. All right, so Leslie says, I love Augie. Hi, Leslie Lambert. It's been so long. How are you? All right, so welcome, Vanessa, and welcome, Melissa. Both 2 S's in there. So welcome, Vanessa. Welcome, Alyssa. All right, let's see what other ahas we have. Let's see. The concept of mindful spending. So yeah, Yolanda, that is so good. If everybody, like, no matter what, if we have to become mindful of our spending. And I believe we have to become mindful with our life. I meditate every morning. It's a practice. I practice meditation. And it's for me to start my day with mindfulness versus just jumping right into the busyness. Like you, I'm very busy. I have different businesses. I have employees. I have children. Life is really busy. And I know that I can get in the chaos and just in it where I'm not even mindful of my days and my intentions and that sort of thing. So that's why I've created my own meditation practice. Not created it, but I actually went to a little school for meditation called Transcendental Meditation, which was an investment in meditation. You can learn meditation for free, but I wanted to learn from true experts in meditation to teach me the science behind it and help me adopt the practice. I'm big into coaching. And here's the deal. I've invested millions of dollars in coaching and mentors and programs and teachers over my years. And it's not by accident I'm where I am. I mean, I've invested in teachers. Even something is like meditation. It's like I wanted to go invest in the teachers of meditation because they need to make money to teach me so I'd be most successful adopting the meditation practice, because I knew if I didn't make the financial investment and the time investment and work with teachers, that if I tried to create a meditation practice on my own, I would fail because I tried it. So that was me. I went to a transcendental meditation course. So I think it was like a 6-week course or something. It wasn't too expensive, maybe a couple $1,000s. And now I'm a meditator and I meditate daily, and it's really for the sake of mindfulness. So mindfulness really is a skill, is a practice for every area of our life, but especially for our money. I mean, we have to be mindful with our spending. If we're not, we will spend and carelessly. We'll spend and not know where the money goes. And we can't, being a millionaire is being mindful. It's across the board, but especially with money. All right, so Pam Rose says, I learned TM as well. Awesome. So if you come to one of the classes, live events, we'll need to do a TM session together. We'll do our silent mantras and really get some energy stirred up in the room. So that's awesome. I love other TMers. All right, so let's see what other questions I have here. What is the payment plan, Regina? Here it is, $215, 3-pay for 3 months. And so that breaks up the $597 into a few payments. Let's see, Nita says this has been a big wake-up call. Yay, yay, yay. I love hearing that. All right, let's see. I have a question about the program you're using. Is it a computer program that we can put our numbers info and is it automatically answers the question? So yes, it's what we give you is a chart of accounts that you can upload into any software system that's your preference. And then, but the auto calculator, you download it on your computer and it's yours, and it's my IP, and I basically give it away. So you can download it and then it's yours to keep forever. And I don't even know if I try to put a price on that thing, what it might be worth, but you get to use it forever. And use it to do all your pro forma, your projections, your worst case, best case scenarios, so on and so forth. So yeah, you do get that. And we send it to you, I think, in week 4 of the program. All right, welcome Karen, congratulations, and welcome Kimberly, congratulations, and welcome Jennifer. Awesome, you guys are going to be so excited to do this program. And welcome Kylie, you guys are awesome. And here's the thing, write down a few of these numbers. I'm going to ask you a question. So a lot of people will come to me and say, Christina, I can't afford your program. And so sometimes, when people give me permission to, I just challenge them. I say, okay, can I do a challenge with you? And they'll say yes. And this is usually local people, and we do it, I just do it over coffee or something. And so when so I'll say, okay, just open up your spending to me, just like the last 2 weeks. And if they do, I'll look at something and I'll notice, for example, I'm like, okay, well, you go to Starbucks 5 days a week. And they're like, well, yeah, I do. And I said, and you're spending $4 a day, 5 days a week. And they say yes. And I said, well, do you realize that that's $80 a month? Well, no, I never really thought about it that way. I said, well, if it's $80 a month you're spending on coffee that you could make at home, how many months, if you just gave up Starbucks, how long would it take to pay for the course? And they're like, they get their iPhone out and do the calculator. And the last person I did this said, well, like 7 months. I said, yeah. So here's the thing. You go to Starbucks every day. You're just choosing Starbucks over investing in your future. Starbucks will keep you broke. I can make you rich. You choose. So most all of us can afford this type of money. It's just we're spending elsewhere and we don't know where we're spending, and we don't want to give up our Starbucks. But I'm saying you don't even have to give up Starbucks forever if you're like addicted to Starbucks. Make coffee at home for 7 months. Use that money to invest in the course, and then once you've made a return on the course and you realize everything, you won't ever go back to Starbucks again after you take the class, but assuming you did, you can pick up Starbucks on month 8. Cable. I'll do this also sometimes. Cable is a big one where I see all the time on almost everybody's spending books. And so the cable on average is $80 a month. So I'll say, okay, how is cable serving you? And people are like, well, not really, but I don't want to be without it. And I'm like, well, you don't have to be without cable forever. But if cable is $90 a month on average, how many months of giving up cable would pay for the course? And they're like, well, about 6 months. I'm like, okay, so would you rather get rich, or would you rather have a reason to sit on the sofa for 3 to 4 hours every single night watching something that is probably making you more depressed than happy anyway? And so anyway, it's just a crossroads. We all get to choose. We're at a crossroad. Would we have cable, or would we rather change our life? Would we rather have Starbucks, or would we rather have change our life? Another thing I see all the time is dinner out and happy hours. And so dinner out is like $50 a dinner on average. By the time you have a drink or two or a family, it's $50 a dinner out. So if how many dinners at $50 a dinner? It's 12. So I'm just saying, what if you ate dinner at home 12 times? So just maybe for the next 2 months or so, since people are eating out 2 to 3 times a week, what if you just ate some more lunches and dinners at home just during the next 2 to 3 months? Would you be willing to do that in order to change your life? Dinner out and convenience, or change your life? And by the way, we trade our health and our freedom for convenience and immediate gratification. We trade our life, our health, and our freedom for convenience and immediate gratification. So if we want convenience and immediate gratification, we're not going to be healthy and we're not going to get rich. And that's part of what I teach. I teach my high income, high net worth people. They come to me to learn more about health. They've sacrificed their health for wealth. And I'm like, see, here's the thing. You can't have your health. I mean, you compromise your health for convenience, and all that convenience food and convenience drive-thrus is killing you. It's just a slow death. And when it comes to convenience and immediate gratification on our spending, it's killing our freedom. It's a slow death. We don't realize until it's too late. And it's just like with our health. It's like almost another paradox, but we don't realize the importance of our health until we lose it, and then it's almost too late. We don't realize the importance of our money until we're old, and then it's too late. So that's the dire, dire truth of what's happening. So don't be that. Like get it together today. So as we age, as we grow into our futures, that we have money for ourselves, for our own good life, that we have money for legacy. And welcome, Jesse. Congratulations, and welcome, Jerry. And welcome, Chris. So congratulations, you're investing in yourself, you're investing in your future. So anyway, another thing that I look at when people, I just do a challenge with them is drinks. And if you drink drinks out with friends, there's a lot of my younger people that obviously go out with drinks with friends quite a bit. But again, $40 a week on drinks, which that is very easy to spend 40 a week. That's 15 bar tabs that maybe just give up 15 drinks out, which is $597. So again, you can see the $597 might sound like a lot, but it's nothing. It's just that we're choosing these other spendings over changing our life. And that's just the intersection. All right, so let me see. Ann says, I used to do all of our finances, but over the year we had more and more kids. My husband has taken over. I need to talk with him about doing the course. Is there a recording of your webinar that can have him watch? And go ahead and, again, nobody can see this, but type in your phone number and Whitney or Rachel will connect with you to see what we can do to help you out. We don't record these, but we probably have something that we can send over to him so that he can watch it. And that's great. I teach marriage and money. It's even a separate course that I teach, but I really encourage couples to do this together. When you do the work together, when you're on the same page with money, it changes everything. My first marriage, we fought about money all the time. It was one of the reasons. I mean that marriage was a disaster on all different levels. But we screaming matches, fighting constantly over money. We had such opposite views about money and beliefs about money, and he did it one way and I did another, and I mean it was horrible. We fought constantly on money, and it's detrimental to a marriage. And then with Gary and I, we're on the exact same page with money. I mean, our marriage, it's night and day. We certainly came from some similar philosophies, but we've been studying this together, doing this together. We have all of our savings. We agree just to follow the formula. So all of our buckets are full. So I don't care what he buys. He doesn't care what I buy, because we all live within, part of the promise of our marriage is we'll live within our formula and our allowances. And we've both come to our own conclusion that neither one of us individually want to spend money on random things. We want to live out of our buckets, and we do most of that together, and that's really what's so fulfilling about our marriage. But yeah, I'm really, really passionate about helping couples get coupled with money. All right, let's see what else. What other questions? So Don says, will the payment plan be available on the website for a few days? This is closing up today. So today is the last day that I'm teaching this, that you can do in the course. But if there's something going up, sometimes, especially with my real estate people, they have a commission or something coming in the next few days. So if the cart and everything's closing tonight, I think at midnight, and we're done. That's the last time to be able to join this class, because we have to prepare for it starting Monday. But if you need just an extra few days or something's going on that we can help you with, again, Dawn, put in your phone number so that Whitney can follow up and see what we can do for you. Again, if there's something unique about your situation, I want to really be flexible to help you. So just let Whitney know. She will do whatever she can. We'll do it whatever we can to facilitate your specific situation. So go ahead and just put in your phone number, and Whitney will call you after we hang up. All right, Vanessa says, are there set times for the calls, or can I watch and learn on my schedule? Okay, Vanessa, that's a great question. There are set times for the calls, but they're set at different times, but every call is recorded. So if you can't make one of the coaching calls, they're all recorded. They get recorded and sent out right after the call is completed. So anybody that can't make a call can always watch the replay at any time, and they're loaded up in your system. So once they get loaded up in the platform, you have access to it anytime. And that's it. You have your username, password, and all your stuff is there on your personal dashboard. All right, let's see. So Alette says, will we always have access to the class even after it's over to review? Yes. This is lifetime access. You get the class forever. I used to not do this. It used to be one time only, but I changed that because I really encourage people to go through it as many times. Like, go through it every time we open up a class until it becomes just such a lifestyle and habit that you can teach others. So that's when we know something, is that we can teach it to others, and that's what I encourage you to do, is get so good at it. I'd love nothing more than some people, the more the better, but the groups of people that take the course, you guys get so good at this and turn it into a lifestyle that you'll teach it to others. I would love that. I'd love to have many teachers, not many, but teachers all over the world that have like applied this and want to teach others, their own communities, that sort of thing. So maybe that's in the future. Welcome, Mary. Congratulations. I'm so excited. And Wendy, you guys are awesome. Lots of women this class, so it's going to be really fun. Women and money. We women have to get good at money. It's just, money's a newer thing for women. You think it wasn't too many decades ago where we could barely vote, let alone have any control over real money and assets. And so this is a new thing. Women tend to think, and girls think that, they suck at math and money's math, but money's easy. So, but I've seen too many bad situations where women get screwed in divorce and other situations because they don't understand money. And if the men are doing the books and the investments and everything, and we're letting them do it, what if they, sometimes I've seen so many horrific situations, good marriages, but the husband dies, but the women had no clue where the assets were, how the money was working, and then they lose everything. They get taken advantage of by financial advisors, those vultures that will come in and take advantage of widows, for example. And I mean, you can't even imagine some of the things I've seen, but mostly divorce. That divorce happens, and men of high incomes, families of high incomes, men do better off in the divorce, and women are in far worse shape, and usually get most of the responsibility with the kids. So we need to be accountable. We need to learn the money thing. So if something happens to the husband or divorce happens, we aren't, we're not going backwards. We can start from a part of strength. And that's even in the investment side. Life insurance, if you're married, is really important. Life insurance is critical if you have children, for example. So these are things that we cover in the investment program. All right, after listening to one of your webinars last year, my husband and I have been using your bucket system. We're high earners who have lived paycheck to paycheck. You've helped us turn things around so much. I'm tuned in today to help focus on the plan. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm debating doing the 28-day class. Just do the class, Kate. Come on, girl. You guys will improve it. You'll do that much better from the bucketing. And even from last year, I continue to improve things and simplify them. And so come do it with us and just get in the swing of things. And it'll be worth it. It will be so worth it, especially doing the work with your hubby. I think will be a lot of fun. So just come on board, just do it. It's just 28 days, you guys. Plus, what you want to do, Kate, is what we're doing this is you and your husband will have all of your money goals and projections set up for the new year. So you can maybe even set some new goals and sweeps and so on and so forth. So it will be fun for the two of you to do together and do those money dates. Okay, what about very low income families? I'm a single mom who, due to my children's medical conditions, cannot work away from home, so I do not have a lot of money. Would this work for a family who lives on about $600 a month? That, let's see, who's that? That's Misty. Misty, that might be difficult. I'd have to, what I recommend, I don't know. I need to ask more questions. So in cases like yours, I would love to set up a coaching call between you and Whitney. So again, if you'll put in your phone number, Whitney can follow up with you just to see. She may be able to give you just some good coaching advice outside of the class if it's not the right time for you. But at least you can ask some questions to maybe get to the bottom of something. And then, obviously we're honest with you. If we think that now is not the right time or this will hurt you versus help you, we're not going to try to convince you to take the class. I mean, that wouldn't be right. So you don't have to be afraid of that, but she will give you her opinion one way or another just based on your sharing your personal situation with her. All right, so Margaret says, I'm doing the numbers. I'm presently can't afford the $215 a month. I'll have to generate the finances another way just to pay for this first. When will the next classes be held? I'd love to jump on this. All right, Margaret, that's all right. If you can't do it right now, believe me, I totally understand. So there's two choices. And so Margaret, if you're listening, this is for you. Two choices. If we need to draw out that payment plan a little bit more to make it work for you, if you're pretty close, we can probably do that. So again, I'm flexible when the situation, for people who really, really, really want to do this, but money's a little tight. So if you would like to just stretch out maybe those payments to maybe 4 or 5 payments, I might be open to that. Again, just put in your phone number. Whitney will touch base with you, and we'll see if we can do that for you. I want to make this available to everybody that's passionate about changing their money life. So I don't want money to be the obstacle between you and changing your life. So we'll do what we can on our end to help you out. The second option, Margaret, is you can wait till January 1. Absolutely. I just want you to know the price is going up to $9.97. So if there's any way you can make it work now, even if we can assist a little bit with spreading out the payments, do it now, just because it's just going to get more expensive and maybe that much more difficult. So anyway, again, just put in your phone number. Whitney will contact you, and we'll figure out what's the best thing for you. All right, welcome, Donna. Congratulations. And welcome Shonda and Patrick and Cheryl. Congratulations. And Stephen, you guys are awesome. Welcome aboard. Again, those of you that are signing up, that everything's going to start on Monday. So this is perfect timing. This is the last class, money class I'm teaching this year. It's the last class that we're doing this year. And the next class will be in January, and that price will be $997. So I'm just saying this because I want you to know that if now's a good time if you want to save money and you want to go ahead and get everything, all your money stuff done by the end of the year. Something else that Gary and I do, it's one of those things too when people sometimes hammer me by saying, well, it's easy for you to say it, Christina, you already have all the money. And I'm just like, dude, you have no idea. Like, you just have no idea. But there's a reason why Gary and I are where we are. Not only, if we worked on mindful spending, we've done everything that we're teaching you. We've, even things, for example, my kids, we lived in a part of town, it's called Westlake here in Austin, and it's like where Michael Dell lives, and a lot of very rich $100 millionaires, not our, piddly money compared to them, and other people. So my kids went to a school where there was a lot of money. And, income-wise, Gary and I did earn a decent income. I mean, we're in real estate. We're both successful in real estate, plus we had a brokerage, plus I had paperless agent and these different things. So, income earners, we're maybe right in there with, a certain group in this Westlake area, for example. And my kids, because they went to this wealthy school, they were with wealthy kids the parents bought them brand new cars, and who knows how much money they really had, but the incomes were high. A lot of them were probably high income broke people, but I don't know. But my kids, but we lived in the kind of one of the least expensive parts of Westlake, and our house was very modest. And it was a nice house, don't get me wrong, but relative, to their friends, we lived in a very modest house. And the kids would come home a lot of times and say, well, Mom, they get big allowances, or Mom, they got an iPhone, or Mom, our friends live in big houses, or Mom, our friends do this or that. And and they even live in these multi-million-dollar houses sometimes. And, one time what I did with the kids is they were both kind of on one of those tangents, because that stuff's real and it affects them at school. And so I put them in the back seat and I said, okay, we do live in a modest home, but I want to drive you around. And I drove them around to like the 7 investment properties that Gary and I owned at the time. And I said, we own that one. And I go down to another one and I said, we own that one. And then we own that one. And then we own that one. And I really started explaining to them. So we live in a modest home, but we own a lot of real estate. So if you calculate all the value of the real estate, we actually do have a multi-million-dollar home, but we aren't spending it all in one home. We live very modest so that we have the money to invest in lots of properties, and these lots of properties mean this amount of income in the future. So I started doing this with the children, and they didn't quite get it at a younger age, but now as young adults, they totally get it. But that was like part of even them just coming home and telling us all the time, why do we, why don't we have nice cars, and why don't we have a big house, and why don't we have all the designer clothing and the different things, and why do you buy our clothes at the Rack versus Nordstrom, that sort of thing. I don't like the Rack. I want to go to Nordstrom. So that's just the sort of things that we've done, and we spent less on our living and lifestyle so we could fill our buckets, including our investment buckets. Another thing that Gary and I do, every single year, we've done it since we've been married. It's been our marriage practice. And every year, the weekend after Thanksgiving, he and I go on a 3-day marriage retreat. And on the 3-day marriage retreat, we've done this every single year since we've been married. We've been married 11 years. And on our marriage retreat, we have this practice where we go away. And it used to be we'd go, again, pretty close to home. Now I think the last time we went to Scottsdale or something, and we get a nice Airbnb or something, a nice place, and we pretty much sequester ourselves, and we bring in healthy food and different things. And this is what we do. We spend the 3 days reflecting on all of our goals that we set for the beginning. So like we're going to be doing this here again pretty soon. We'll reflect on all the 2016 goals we set at this time last year. We talk about those. How did we do? Where did we succeed? Where did we fail? What changed? Why did it change? We look at all of our money for the year. We had all of our projections. And again, we reconcile every month, but we look at it as the year, like the year in review. And okay, we set up all these goals and our different revenue streams. We set up all the goals for our spending. We set up all these goals for our buckets. How did we do? Did we do better, worse, and why? And we look at it all. We reconcile all of our actuals to our goals and really look at the positives and negatives on each category. And we talk about that. And then we set up our goals for 2017, and that's coming up. And same thing. What are our goals now based on what we know this year and our successes and our failures and the changes? Sometimes we sell out of certain investments, or things change during the year. So we set everything up for the following year based on our best projections using the calculator that you guys get in the course to set up a lot of those things. And we set up for the year. So we start 2017 with all of our life goals, our money goals, all of our projections in every single category. And it's all done by the last weekend in November, and we start up our January 1 completely with it all done. And we've done this in our marriage, like I said, since we first got married. In fact, we started on our honeymoon, believe it or not. And that's the practice we do. And so it's by no accident that we are where we are. Like, this is the commitment, the practices, what we do differently than what most people do. And then we reconcile our money every single month. We talk about every single item that we spend. Even though we earn high incomes, we still look at every single spending because we want to make sure, was it a meaningful expense? We want to, check ourselves because it's easy to spend in this world when it's one click to Amazon. So that's what I'm offering you. Do the same thing. Get all this done this fall so that when you start January 1, your financial situation and your money goals and business goals are completely done. Imagine starting the year with this work completely done. It will set up a whole different year than the way it's maybe been in the past. All right, so let me see if there's any other questions. Will you show the slide with all the bonus gifts again? Sure, would be happy to. It's several. Let me see here. Let's see, here it is. So the program is that it's the 4 parts of the 28-day program. I'm throwing in my earn system, and this is learn how to earn. So this is everything that I teach about increasing your earnings for those of you that don't earn enough, feel like you don't earn enough. I'm putting in my investment course, which I break down the different building blocks for investing and talk about those in a very unconventional way for people that actually want to compound and learn how to invest. I am including for people who want an investment strategy session. I have 5 of those available. This is a multi-hour overview of all your investments to look for inefficiencies or places where it's not performing, and attached to some sort of plan that one could implement or execute. Again, I only have a few of those available because to work with my planners is on the low end is $500 an hour up to $1,000 an hour. So that's obviously very costly. So we can only throw in a few of those. And then finally, there's a free ticket to my Wealthy Wealthy Live, which is November 4th and 5th, which is here in Austin, Texas. For anybody that wants to come to that, those tickets are $750 for that 2-day event. But I'll throw in a free ticket for anybody that buys this course. All right, welcome, Mike. Congratulations. Welcome aboard. Congratulations, y'all. Let's see. We welcome Mike. Congratulations, Laura. Let me see. Congratulations, Chris. Congratulations, Jerry. Congratulations, Jesse. Congratulations, Kylie. Congratulations, Jennifer. Congratulations, Jennifer. Congratulations, Kimberly. Congratulations, Karen. Welcome, Vanessa and Melissa. Congratulations, Tara, Nita, Pam, Rose, and Wenna. Welcome, Leslie. Welcome, Teresa. Congratulations, you all. You guys are in for a treat. This is the last day to sign up for the course. The cart will close at midnight. So if you're going to do this now. If you don't do it now, you're not going to do it. So you might as well just get it over with. And it's just really easy. You can go ahead and type in link into the chat box and my team will work to get you set up. All right, what other questions? Do you cover life insurance as a retirement strategy? Kristen, yes, I do. And life insurance is an important part of retirement strategy, even though I teach anti-retirement. So again, the way I teach money is pretty unconventional. I teach people how to get rich. I don't try to take their money as a financial planner. In fact, I'm not a planner. I teach investing based on how I learned it as an investor. I'm not a planner. And so planners have an agenda. Their agenda is to collect fees on your money. And that's not my agenda. My agenda is, as an investor, I'm teaching people what I've learned, what I've known from experts, what I do myself, and how to convert their investments into future cash flow. I don't give a flip about retirement. I don't even know what retirement is. It's an industrial age concept that was created when people retired at 62 and died at 67, and was created sort of in the 1930s when Social Security started. So it's another concept like budgeting that's outdated. But when you're losing retirement, when we talk about retirement in sort of a whatever sense, life insurance is an important part, not of retirement, of life planning, of investment planning. You have to have protection. Protection is one of the pieces. And there's really whole life and term, and they're very different. Some people can't afford whole life, therefore term, but most people don't even know of whole life that should. And if you're not using whole life as a part of the protection investment strategy for a holistic portfolio, many people are really missing out. So just because it's a lack of knowledge, and most planners don't even know about it. But when you're an investor like I am, you learn these things and you put them to work. Again, I have no agenda other than to teach what I do and what I know. And as I continue to learn, those that follow me, I teach them the newest things as I'm learning them, and I apply them. I only teach what I do. And again, I'm not a financial planner trying to take anybody's monies to gain fees on a long-term basis. Whitney was just telling me today all the crazy stuff that's helping what's happening with Wells Fargo, for example. I mean, can you believe that? I mean, that's the crap that's out there with people's money. And so lots of bad things are happening when we abdicate money. You cannot abdicate your money on the investment side, on your spending side, on your earning side. We all have to be in control. And we have to learn sort of the money sense, the basic sensibilities about money to be able to have control. But the second we give our money to the banks and to the planners to do with it what they want, we're broke. So yes, I do teach insurance as part of my investment strategy. And there's, like I said, different types of insurance and protection. All right, this program is being offered in January, says Shannon. Yes, so the next class is in January. The price will be $997. I'm just letting everybody know that because that's a pretty big price jump. So I'd hate for somebody to wait and then be shocked by the price change. And so anybody starting in January won't even know that there was a lower price. They'll just think that's always been the price because we're raising it for the new year. And this was a 2016 price. 2017 price is $997. So again, if you don't mind the price jump and don't want to do it right now, by all means, wait till January. My advice would be, why would you do that? Even if you can't start to January, you might as well buy it this time. You have lifetime access. So get started in January. Unless the prices are relevant, it's just mostly you're going to come into a lot more cash in January. So you'd rather wait to then because you'd rather pay more and wait. So up to you again. But yes, there is a January class, start at 2017. It will just be a higher price, and the bonuses will be different too. I'm probably going to strip out a lot of the bonuses because I loaded up the bonuses to try to encourage everyone to buy this cycle. Why this cycle? Because there's not a better time to do this. The end of the year, setting up for the new year, is the absolute best time to take this class. So if you're listening, I'm going to say it again. Now is the best time to take this class. If you're going to do it now as opposed to January, because in January it's a 30-day class, And then it's going to be February by the time you have all your annual stuff set up. So this, you're going to have your 2017 fully set up. And this is an opportunity for you to do this practice just like Gary and I do, when what we're going to do the same thing here in a few weeks. All right, so Shannon says, can you help with tax education? We are a high-income family with 2, and now it's a 34% taken out paycheck. Oh, yes. So Tara, we do help with some tax. In fact, one of the experts that comes on during the 28 days is my personal CPA. So he comes on, he will teach, he's available for some Q&A, and he would be available to possibly look at some of your stuff to be able to help you with tax. I'm not a tax, I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax advisor, but I have experts that help me with our taxes. So yes, as your income goes up, you certainly need some tax strategy. So tax strategy is included when we bring my CPA into the course, so you will get some of that. And those of you that are high income and really need some tax help, my CPA is really good with that. All right, Pam Rose says, what time is the program? All right, Pam Rose, I love that name. Pam Rose, the program starts on Monday, but it's do it at your own pace. Every single Monday before you wake up, your week's work will be loaded onto your dashboard as part of your platform. You get a username and password. We have a software system. You go in there and you can watch your videos and do the work at any time. It's always available to you. So if you want to do it 2 o'clock in the morning, that's your time. You do it 2 o'clock in the morning. Then the next week will drop, and there'll be that week's work. It's video content, it's your downloads, you can print it, you can do it online, whatever is your best way to do it, and you do it at your own pace. Some people do it all on the weekends, for example. But then the thing where there's timing is on the group coaching calls, or one-on-one, and then you just find the coaching calls that match your calendar, and if you can't make them, they're recorded, and again, you can watch those at any time at your own pace. All right, so let's see if there's any other questions. And we've been on for 3 hours together, and it's like, what, about 40 of you are still on and hanging on for some reason. So let me know why you're still here. I'm going to grab a drink of water. Talking this long actually makes my mouth really dry. So while I'm grabbing a drink of water, please let me know why you're still here. Why are you still here? Why are you still here listening after 3 hours? All right, so question. I am self-employed as a realtor. Do I combine my business with personal? No. And I teach that in the earnings course, that everybody's self-employed. If you are meshing your business income with your personal income, that's a no-no. There's many reasons for that, but again, I teach you how to be a millionaire, and millionaires don't commingle their funds. And so I do teach that in the course, which right here is a bonus that you will get as part of buying this program. But you have to separate your business income and expenses. Then what's left over is called profit, and your profit from your business expense is what you move into your household account, which is the money that drops into the top of your checking account. All right, I think what you're saying is the value is why I'm still on. Well, thank you, Shannon. Thank you. I'm glad you're still listening, and what I'm saying is valuable. So I really can talk all day long on this. There's so much to learn with money. It's why I created the course, because there's no way to even scratch the surface in a 90-minute call, and even a 4-hour call. The 28-day program is broken up into lots of different content that we spread out to make it consumable, bite-sized pieces. But I'm just really covering the highlights today because there's so much to learn. But the good news is in the 28-day program, you will learn all the basics you need to know to get your financial house in order. All right, so if there's any other questions, I just love to hear your wisdom. I've decided I want to sign up, but need to know if I can have an extended payment program. All right, Christy, just type in your phone number, and my team will give you a call. We'll work with you however we can. Again, if you really want to do this, I will do my best to make it doable for you. So All you have to do is let my team know, listen, I will do this. I want to change my life. I'm a little tight. Can we spread things out a little bit? Like I said, we'll do our best, whatever we can, to help you out. As long as I know that you want to change your life and you want to do this work, by all means, I'm not going to let just the money get in the way of that. All right, let's see. I've got a few more minutes in me, so let's see what else that we have. Betty says, I'm drowning in debt, not enough each month to cover expenses. We'll have some extra in November. Is there any way to do a payment plan starting in November? There's not, Betty, but I'm trying to think. Betty. Part of even the course, again, I know I'm telling a lot of you to put in your phone number so Whitney can call you, or Rachel, or even myself for that matter. The thing is the reason why maybe we can do a quick coaching session with you, Betty, because sometimes what we don't know about debt, and that we teach this in the debt payoff class, and the debt payoff portion of the class that last week, is that we teach you how to renegotiate your debt. So what a lot of people don't know is they can go to the banks and the credit card companies, and when you're underwater like that, you can negotiate it down. And that's part of the coaching that's offered in the course, is that when to the people that are students that are sort of drowning in debt, we do one-on-one coaching to coach you individually, and even to look at, you know, where your debt is, to see if we can assist you in negotiating that down. So that's another value of the course, is that when you learn that you can negotiate that, and you have some help and coaching in order to, and the right scripts and dialogues and, you know, whatever help you need, we can maybe help you get that down. So, but that's another benefit of being in the class, but you're going to, you know, you have to make the investment so that we can help you, basically. I mean, we can't, that's part of the investment that you make in the class, is getting the coaching and the help. But yes, you can, even if you can't do it right now, at least go back to your credit card companies or whatever and try to negotiate that debt down. It's very likely they will, because you can say, listen, I'm about ready to file for bankruptcy because I'm underwater and I need you to renegotiate this, or you're not going to get anything. So anyway, we're really used to the different credit cards and banks and how to negotiate with certain ones one way and others this another way, because we've been doing this a long time and we know what their weak points are. But that, again, that's part of the debt payoff plan that we teach. But again, just go ahead, talk to Whitney, see if she can coach you with anything there, and see if we can help you out. All right, let's see, what else? All right, guys, listen, let's see, what else? We have about, what, 28, 27? You guys are starting to fall off, but there's still 27 of you here with me. And I just hate hanging up until, you know, everyone's gone. So all of you can do a mass exodus, and then we will call it game over. Let me know if you have any other questions or any concerns or any confusion. I'm really sliding down in my entire comment box and question box right now to see if there's anything I missed. But if I did, you can type it in again and see if there's anything else. All right. Tell me why you're still here. Tell me another aha moment you've had. Something. Give me something that I can speak to. All right. Shannon says bye. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Shannon. Betty, we have your phone number, so thank you, Betty. And Cassandra says, I'm interested but may need help. Cassandra, just put in your phone number and we will call you to see if we can help you. Let's see, Margaret says, my income being this amount after bills, I only have this and spendable income. That includes, I have a plethora of bills that I can't afford to pay. It makes me feel tired, depressed, and sick. I went into prayer yesterday and decided I'd change where I am. Then I came across this on Facebook. I hardly go on Facebook, let alone click on any free seminars. I believe this is the answer to my prayer. Wow. I don't want to miss anything, so I have to just continue to listen. Here's my phone number. The best time to call would be this. I have to get myself together and to get my child and run errands. Thank you so much. I believe you've been a blessing and inspiration. Margaret, you're welcome. We have your phone number. We'll see what we can do to work with you. And I believe in prayer like that. So anyway, you've just touched my heart. So go pick up your kiddos. We will talk to you a little bit later. And let's see if there's anything else. All right, I've got 3 more minutes. I'll stay here to 3:10 Central. If y'all have anything else to say, Let's see, Pam Rose, I see you're still here. Mary, Margaret, Paul, Christy, Kylie, Joyce, Jesse, James, Claudia, Cassandra, Carissa, Betty, Beth, Ann, Alex, Alette. I see you guys are still with me. Either you're multitasking and you're just still online, or you're actually still listening to me fill the airspace. So anyway, tell me, is there anything else I can help you with? Somebody had asked me, what do I actually spend on some of my different buckets? Here's some of our real numbers. On 2016, so far, Gary and I spent $10,468 on our own education. That doesn't include the children. So we've spent already $10,468 on education. Crazy, right? But again, cash. Welcome, Carissa. Congratulations. I'm so excited. But that's what we paid for education. That's how we increase our income. That's how our earnings always continue to go up. We meet new people, we create new deals, businesses, so much more comes out than just education. The network, the applications. So we're just learning, applying, trying, succeeding, failing, but we keep, we make more, we meet new people that turn into potential business deals or investments. You just never know what's going to happen. But if we stay stuck in our small little world and we don't grow ourselves, then we're going to stay stuck. So that's some real money that we spent on education this year. Let's see, we put $2,000 a month into our health wealth bucket, and we spend all $24,000 a year. For anybody listening, I do recommend that everybody set up an HSA as part of their spending plan, and a family could put in $6,750 into an HSA. And that's, again, you shave that money right off the top to max out that HSA. We shave our $6,750 for the HSA, and that's pre-tax money. So you think you add your tax rate on to the top of that, and it really is that much more money that you have to spend on your health. And so, but the HSA makes it really easy, and it's pre-tax money of $6,750. So we max that out clearly, and then we spend more than that. I mean, we spend $2,000 for our health wealth bucket, and then we use every bit of that every single year. Let's see, what else? Do you have any books available? So Betty, I mean, there's many great books. There's my book called Falling for Money, so that's a great one to start with. It's good, that is some just really basic stuff, to some money terminology and some basics. So you can go to Amazon. It's called Falling for Money. A must read is Think and Grow Rich. I mean, that's just a must read for anybody that wants to be a millionaire. There's Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's been around forever. That was the first money course I invested in and book I read. Then I took the money class, and that totally changed my life, just like this might change your life. That was the one that changed mine, 15 years ago or so. And let's see, what other books? I have so many money books on my shelves. Those would be good places to start. I'd do Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I would do Falling for Money and Think and Grow Rich would be 3 great money books to start. And let's see. All right, 22 of you are still holding on. My goodness. And let's see, what else? So let's see. I don't see any other questions here. I'm sliding up. Nothing else. All right, I've stayed over my 3:10. Are there any other questions? Whitney, is there anything else I need to cover that I've missed? Let me know. Christy says, thank you, looking forward to the call. Awesome. Can you explain the program time? I answered that one already. Just to Pam Rose, to let you know and everybody know, this is do it at your own pace. Once you have access to your, you get your username and password, you have access to all the material. You do it at your own pace. And then you can sign up for any coaching or group coaching that fits your schedule. So it's a combination of do it at your own pace and then the group and individual coaching as needed. Let's see if there's anything else. Rach, anything else? All right, Whitney, anything else? Are we good, Whit? Let's see. Leslie. Leslie's signing up. Awesome, Leslie. I'm so excited. Congratulations, Leslie. I'm really excited. And especially anybody in real estate, this class can really make a difference. All right, you all. I have no more questions, so that means I'd just be talking just for the hell of it, because you're still here. So anyway, you guys, so Anastasia asks about to repeat the books. Repeat the books are Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Guy Kawasaki, and Falling for Money by Christina Wise. All right, so those are my 3 money books that you guys can read between now and the next class. Okay, I am signing off. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for your time. This is 3 hours that we spent together. That is incredible. So congratulations. Time is money. So make no mistake, I'm very honored you spent this time with me. I consider it a privilege, and I know there's a million other things you could be doing. So thank you. I hope that what I shared with you today was valuable. I thought you got a lot of ahas, maybe an epiphany or 2, and that what I shared with you made a positive difference in your life. If I did, it made all this worth it for me on my side. I'm signing off. You can follow me on Instagram and sign up for the class. It's a fun Facebook group. You'll get signed up in the Facebook group right away. Say hello so everybody, all your other classmates, you D16 students, can say hello to one another, and previous classmates will come in and start cheering you on, and we're going to have a fun time starting Monday. Remember, the cart closes at midnight tonight. The cart closes at midnight tonight, so you have until midnight tonight to go ahead and make your purchase. After that, the cart closes, and it is game over until January 1, when the price goes up to $9.97. So if you need to think about it, need to get the hubby or wifey on board, then just you have till midnight tonight to do so. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. You guys are amazing. Have a great Thursday afternoon, and enjoy the rest of the day. Goodbye.